And welcome to Swanson Stadium on this beautiful Saturday afternoon in Southwest Florida. David Moulton along with Greg Anderson. And Greg, by beautiful, I mean it's the most gorgeous day of the year. What are we all doing here? That's how beautiful it is.
Let's not say too much about that. The Midwest is getting another
know.
storm, possible snow.
Good thing the NFL draft this year is not in Chicago because it might have been canceled.
That's bear weather, David. They
understand.
would have enjoyed that. But yeah, beautiful day here. The wind is in the opposite direction of our last broadcast. We've got sun. We've got higher temps, mid 80s. The last time we were here together last week, different case. And FGCU going here against North Alabama, game 2 of the series. It was an ugly one last night, David.
Boy, was it ever. Almost as many errors as runs. FGCU winner 6-3. Eagles with 6 runs and 6 errors. North Alabama with 3 runs to 2 errors.
And we don't have Elias in our brains right now, but a team making 6 errors, only giving up 3 runs, that's not going to happen very often.
And not only that, only giving up 1 unearned run. Made Studstill throw a lot more pitches than he likely would have. Might have had a complete game if not for the errors. Meanwhile, senior lefty Justin Gill on the hill for FGCU, making just his 4th start of the season. He comes in with a 1-3 record and a 5.47 earned run average. North Alabama, new member to the ASUN. This is the second ever game between the two schools. Obviously, the first one was last night. Joe Kinker's 3-run homer in the bottom of the 8th, the difference in a 6-3 win. The Lions come in 5-10 in the ASUN. FGCU comes in 10-3, tied in the loss column for first place with Liberty. The Flames have a half-game lead with 1 more win. The top of the order for North Alabama, Davis Elliott, Peyton Sockwell, and Ben Kiefer to face Justin Gill. The defense behind Gill, Elijah Eusebio gets the start today at first, Richie Garcia at second, Eric Gonzalez at short, and Jay Hayes at third. Alex Brait, who has caught every game this year for the Eagles, catches that fastball high for ball 1, and we are underway. The outfield from left to right, Keith Stevens, Mark Coffers, and Joe Kinker playing the field today. He DHs a lot, but not today to start. Fastball catches the outside corner at the knees by Gill, and the count 1-1 to Davis Elliott, the senior second baseman who also has started every single game for the Lions this year. He comes in hitting .274. And he takes a fastball, exact same spot as the last one, at the knees, outside corner, and Gill ahead of the count 1-2. Elliott leading the team in home runs, Greg, with 5, and also leading the team in RBIs with a rather modest total of 20.
Well, their whole offense has been pretty modest this year.
And he reaches out and skies one to Kinker in right field, who's going back, and just before the track, he makes the catch, and we've got 1 away.
As a team, they're only hitting .233. Their leading average is Ben Kiefer, who hits in the 3-hole at .277. So it's been sort of a struggle offensively for them this year.
North Alabama got off to a horrible start on the season. They did beat Ole Miss a couple weeks ago, however, and before last night had gone 8-9 in their last 17 games. Gill misses with a fastball on the outside corner and falls behind Peyton Sockwell, the senior shortstop, 1-0. Sockwell comes in hitting just .219 with a homer and 16 RBIs. Well, Gill seems to have found that outside corner from the knees to about the mid-thighs.
And Gill isn't the biggest guy out there. He was dwarfed by Eusebio and Brait standing at the mound during the national anthem. So he's a control pitcher. He's going to pick his spots.
The 1-1 fastball fouled off. Gill ahead again, 1-2. North Alabama held to just 3 hits last night, and they scored all 3 of their runs in the 3rd inning. Had a 3-1 lead, 3-2 after 3, held that lead into the 7th. Eagles scored 1 in the 7th to tie, and then Kinker's 3-run homer won it. Changeup misses outside, 2-2 the count. Justin Gill on Peyton Sockwell.
And that was the first home run for Kinker in a while, David.
March 22nd. Yet he remains well above 300, though. So even though he went a month without hitting a homer, 5 weeks actually, and that one's a two-hopper to Gonzalez at short. He throws across to Sabio at first, and we've got 2 away. Junior catcher Ben Kiefer steps in. Leading hitter on the team, as you mentioned, Greg, with a 277 batting average. Unusual, however, to see a 3-hole hitter with no home runs and just 11 RBIs. Gill pounding the outer part of the plate with a fastball. Gets a swinging strike.
He's been consistent there, David, in this top of the first inning. Keeping the ball away from these hitters.
Well, as you mentioned, not a big guy, doesn't have overpowering stuff. Figure he's got to pick his spots when he comes inside. And outside corner at the knees, and Gill ahead of Kiefer, 0-2. Outside of the leadoff hitter, Davis Elliott, Greg, the other 8 hitters in the lineup for North Alabama did not register a hit last night. The 0-2, swinging at a fastball, he fouls it off and out of play.
Again, a good 0-2 pitch that wasn't quite hittable, way up in the zone. And Kiefer fouled it off.
The Lions have 6 hitters in the lineup today with 0 or 1 home run. Just their first year in the conference. Curveball, first one of the inning. In the dirt, blocked by Brait, 1-2.
Not the best road record by any means. They've played a lot of road games. 5-22 away from home for North Alabama.
And my guess is FGCU will be headed there next year to play baseball. The 1-2 grounded to Eusebio, who backs up. Could be a race to the bag, and Gill wins it ahead of Kiefer. And that's a 1-2-3 inning. To the bottom of the first we go, scoreless between the Lions and the Eagles. Bottom of the first inning, Swanson Stadium. FGCU will get their cracks at sophomore lefty Jacob Laws.
And David, we got 2 lefties on the hill today, but that's where the comparison ends. So Gill is listed for FGCU at 5'11", 170, and I think that's a stretch. Both columns. Laws, 6'8", 285.
Well, I have to admit, he doesn't look 285. He carries it well.
Well, when you're 6'8",
well, that's true.
You're going to carry it well.
Plenty of places to carry your luggage. Yes, yes, you do. He's making his 11th appearance and 11th start. I will say this, Greg, he does not go deep into games. In his 10 previous appearances, he's thrown just 37 innings. So he has trouble getting through the 4th on average. It'll be Mark Coffers, Alex Brait, and Jay Hayes, the top of the FGCU batting order behind Jacob Laws. Kane Harris at first, Davis Elliott at second, Peyton Sockwell at short, Reed Homan around at third, Tate Mathis in left, Colt Cressman in center, and Kevin Brenning around in right. And Ben Kiefer is behind the plate for North Alabama. Coffers Shows bunt, takes a curveball in the dirt, ball one. Coffers had a nice game last night, 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run scored.
And David, that average inching up since we started doing games about 6 weeks ago. He was in the 220s, now sitting right at 250.
Not the ideal leadoff hitter, though, and yet he's been in that spot most of the season, and he takes a fastball low. 2-0 the count. Strikes out a lot, about once a game on average. On-base percentage, 7th of the 9 in the lineup. Not a prototypical leadoff hitter. He takes an off-speed pitch for a strike, 2-1. Has a homer and 17 RBIs, Greg, to go with his 250 batting average.
And as we've said before, Coffers is a local player out of Barron Collier High School. Hit in the 280s his first 2 years, so his average a little bit lower than he's used to.
Takes a fastball high. Kiefer tried to frame it as a strike. Coffers ahead of the count, 3-1. He is an outstanding defensive center fielder. Not a good center fielder. He is a great defensive center fielder. The 3-1. High strike. As Coffers taken all the way. My guess is later on in the game he won't take on 3-1.
No, and I like that take. Make him throw some strikes early on in this game.
The 3-2 from Laws. And Coffers off the end of the bat. Will it get through? It will, to hop through to center field. And Coffers with a leadoff single. He's now 3 for 6 in this series.
Little bit of a knuckler off the end of the bat there. Hit in the exact perfect spots.
And it brings up the leading hitter in terms of batting average for FGCU, Alex Brait, hitting .335 on the season as the catcher. And Greg, I know I harp on this every time we do a game together, but he has caught every single game that FGCU has played. 43 games, this is his 43rd start, and for him to still be hitting in the 330s, I mean, usually catchers get worn down with a workload like that.
Yeah, and Coach Tillett will get him an inning or two out in the outfield. I know Stevens has caught before, Coffers has put on the gear before and caught a little bit. But, yeah, this is a durable as durable as it comes.
Coffers has stolen 8 bases, extending his lead off first. And Brait lines one to center field. Cressman comes over, fields it on a hop. And the first 2 batters for the Eagles have singled to center field. And here comes Jay Hayes with a couple of ducks on the pond.
So let's talk about last night a little bit. They get a 6-3 victory, 6 errors. They really had no business winning that game. But you're playing a team that isn't that great. They're 5-22 on the road. They're lucky they were playing North Alabama last night. Expect to see a different ball team coming out today.
Jay Hayes hitting .331, second on the team. Leads the team with 8 homers, leads the team with 41 RBIs. The right-hand hitter to face the soft toss and lefty Jacob Laws. And he takes an off-speed pitch on the outside corner for a strike. Hayes was 0 for 3 with an RBI last night. A .600 slugging percentage, nearly 100 points more than anyone else on the team. Dave Tillett could not ask for a better hitter at the plate right now, but he's behind in the count 0-2. And that might be the only pitch that Laws throws on the inner part of the plate to Hayes. I got a feeling he's going to stay away from him with a bunch of slop.
Yeah, and you talked about him being a soft thrower. It is a strange thing having somebody that big not bringing heat, and that's an adjustment that the hitters are going to have to make.
Runners on first and second, nobody out. The 0-2, high fastball. He showed it to him. Hayes didn't bite, 1-2. Richie Garcia awaits on deck. The 1-2. And Hayes way ahead of the changeup. So ahead, in fact. That one may be in the parking lot, which is really difficult to do for a righty hitter. I mean, you have to hit that one over the dugout. That's how far ahead he was on that.
He did it, yeah.
If my windshield's broke by a righty hitter, I'll be pretty angry. I got to be honest. I can handle Alex Brait fouling one off and taking out my windshield, but Jay Hayes would be like, "Oh, come on. How'd you do this?" We'll do it again, the 1-2. High fastball, check swing, and home plate umpire Victor Alejandro said he went. And that is a big strikeout for Laws, one away.
And I agree with that call. There was no need for help from the first base ump on an appeal.
I thought it was a good call, too.
Yeah.
So a big strikeout for Laws brings up the right-hand hitting second baseman Richie Garcia. The junior hitting .307 on the season. 3 homers, 23 RBIs. Coffers on second, Brait on first, both with good speed. Changeup outside corner for a strike. Back-to-back at bats, Laws has led off with a straight change to a right-handed hitter. Huge hole on the left side of the infield. Third baseman Homan, a couple steps off the bag. And Garcia skies one to shallow right field. Brenning coming in is under it, makes the catch. Coffer shows as if he's going to tag, and instead nearly gets doubled off.
That's a smart play by Brenning out in right field. Not deep enough for Coffers to tag to go to third. He faked it, and Brenning threw right to the bag, try to get him.
And nearly did. So after 2 big outs by Laws, first and second, 2 away for senior shortstop Eric Gonzalez. And look how well he's hitting, Greg. Remember, he filled in for Profit about a month into the season, so he was batting 9th, and he has slowly worked his way up to, he's in the 5-hole. Fastball, outside ball 1. Gonzalez up to 285 with 4 homers and 27 RBIs. Third on the team in homers.
Yeah, Gonzalez has just been really solid throughout the year, both offensively and defensively.
And he got his pitch there. He got a fastball up, outer part of the plate, and fouled it back. Gonzalez was 1 for 4 with a run scored in the Eagles' 6-3 win last night. FGCU got back-to-back singles from Coffers and Brait to start the game. Laws got a strikeout and a fly out to shallow right. Slow curve, fouled away right side. And the Eagles, you know, you're used to facing fastballs all year.
Yeah.
And you faced harder throwers last night. Now you come out here today, and what are you facing? You're facing somebody that's throwing what last night would have been a changeup.
And I'll get to my point in a moment here.
Grounded up the middle. Elliott to his right, bobbles it, and there's no play. No play. So the Lions, who made 2 errors last night, make a key error here in the bottom of the first inning, and it'll be bases loaded for Keith Stevens.
David, one of the games we did, I believe it was our last game, Jacksonville. Soft thrower. No, it wasn't Jacksonville. It was a Lipscomb game. The huge comeback, and that starting pitcher threw soft. It was a lefty, and they popped up
everything. Brait's single was hard hit. Everything else has been a slight miss hit so far. As Laws greets Stevens with a slow curveball for ball 1. Stevens hitting .287 with a homer and 16 RBIs. So a key at bat already in this game. FGCU with a chance to jump on the board. Bases loaded, 2 outs. 1-0, comes back with that same slow curve, and Laws gets a strike. I love when pitchers double up. I think they should do it more often because hitters are always thinking, well, if you threw me this, you're going to throw me something else next.
Yeah. He's starting most of the hitters with that breaking ball, too, so he's pretty confident with it.
The 1-1. Just misses outside. 2-1 to Stevens. Normally, bases loaded, 2 outs. Pitcher would come in and challenge him here. See what Laws does. Change up, and Stevens out ahead of it. Count even at 2. Stevens was looking fastball.
Yeah. And he was looking to hit it hard, too.
I was going to say, he's looking to hit it in the trees, separating FGCU from Miramar. All right, bases loaded, 2 outs, the 2-2. Check swing, foul back. Another off-speed pitch. All right, if I'm the catcher, Kiefer, I've thrown back-to-back off-speed pitches. If I'm going to throw a fastball, I'm going to throw it here. I'm not going to throw it on 3-2.
And his fastballs have been up.
Laws stares in for a while. The 2-2. Curveball up the middle, base hit. Coffer scores easily. Brait rounds third. He's coming home. The throw stands up. He's safe. Brait just beats the throw from Cressman. It's a 2 RBI single for Stevens, and the Eagles lead it 2-0.
David, why didn't he slide? There was a bat in the way.
That's a good reason.
Brait went in standing up, and there was a bat right in his way. Usually that's the on-deck hitter's job is to try to get there, but it's very difficult with the bases loaded guy at third base. And so luckily it worked for him. It was a great throw by Cressman from center field.
Gonzalez is at second. Stevens at first. 2-0 FGCU. The hitter, Cole Gilmore. Gonzalez caught in between second and third, and he gets thrown out. So that stops a potential big inning. Gonzalez on that curveball in the dirt ends up getting thrown out trying to steal third is
David,
where it'll go down as.
He had to go because Stevens behind him took off from first, and so he couldn't retreat back to second.
So the Eagles run themselves out of a potential big inning, but they do jump on Jacob Laws and the Lions for 2 runs and 3 hits and a key error that extended this inning. We've played 1 at Swanson, 2-0 Eagles. Top of the second inning, Swanson Stadium. Postcard day here in Southwest Florida. Tough to get better than this.
Good start for FGCU with 2 in the bottom of the first. Well,
And
David.
And Justin Gill went 3 up, 3 down in the top of the first.
I know what you're going to be talking about Monday morning at 6 a.m. on Fox Sports Southwest.
Yeah, there's a very good chance
Are you going to be slipping into the draft a little bit during our broadcast?
A little bit. How long's the show? I believe it's 3 hours long and then a podcast.
Well, I'm talking about right now. Are you going to?
What, you want me to start doing picks? Is that it?
Well, I don't want to ruin your Monday morning show.
Swing and a miss, Justin Gill to Tate Mathis, the left fielder, hitting .243 with a homer and 15 RBIs. 2-0 FGCU, 2 unearned runs in the bottom of the first after the inning was extended on a single, on an error by the second baseman Davis Elliott.
That was a great pitch, that curveball lefty on lefty.
Just the 4th start of the season for Justin Gill, who's only thrown 26 1/3 innings coming into this start. The 0-2's a fastball outside, 1-2. Mathis was 0 for 4 with a walk last night. The error by Elliott extended the inning, allowed for bases loaded with 2 outs, and Keith Stevens came through with a 2 RBI single up the middle, and that's why the Eagles lead 2-0. The 1-2 is a slow curveball for a call, strike 3. Mathis thought it was outside. It's the first strikeout of the day for Justin Gill.
I thought that 0-1 pitch was nice. That was even nicer, and that buckled Mathis badly.
Yeah, he wouldn't have hit that with a broom.
No. Had a little more velocity on that one than his 2-strike curveball.
Third baseman Reed Homan steps in, hitting .240 on the season with 2 homers and 18 RBIs. Fastball, lined, hard one hopper. Garcia throws it high, and Homan is safe. It was a tough play, hard one hopper off his chest. It'll be interesting to see how they judge it. And they called it an error.
That's a good thing because I had already written it down. So they're going to call an error on the throw. Homan, with really good speed, got down the line quickly, which caused that quick throw by Garcia.
The fielding-itis from last night, in which the 2 teams combined for 8 errors, is already on full display because we're 7 outs into this game, and we've already had 2 errors. And that brings up left-hand hitting right fielder.
Got a balk call.
First base umpire, John Lavin, calling a balk on Justin Gill. Gill with a bit of an incredulous look, but the base runner Homan is now in scoring position with 1 away for Kevin Benning. Gill looking over at the shortstop Gonzalez to get the defensive signals as to who will be covering and all that. Benning hitting .240 on the season, 3 homers, 12 RBIs. And 3 homers may not seem like a lot, but he's second on the team in homers with those 3. Gill from the stretch for the first time, starts it with a slow curve. 1-0. Benning 0 for 3 last night. He did scratch out 2 walks and did score a run. North Alabama scored all their runs, Greg, yesterday in a 3-run third inning. The 1-0, big swing and a fastball, 1-1.
Such a calm day here. At this point, the flag is not even blowing, virtually no wind, and the temps are up there.
Well, they're getting there. 2 o'clock start. This is the hot time of the day. It was beautiful during batting practice. Low 80s. Now we'll get to the mid to upper 80s now. The 1-1, slow curve, and deemed to be low.
It didn't miss by much.
Well, it was low by the time it got to Brate's glove. It's always a difficult one for an umpire because it's caught low, so it looks low. But in fact, when it crossed the plate, may have been at the knees. But now Gill behind 2-1 to Brenning. Base runner fakes as if he's going, and Brenning swings and misses at another high fastball, 2-2.
Yeah, Brenning doing Gill a little bit of a favor there. And Homan took off as if he was going to steal third, and I wonder if that distracted Brenning at all at the plate.
So far, Gill has shown, and he's not a hard thrower, as we've mentioned, but his fastball has been better than Brenning so far in this at-bat. The 2-2.
What do you think, David? Kept him close?
You're going to do this every time? For those that are listening to me for the first time, I am not a fan of pitchers being allowed to fake throwing to a bag that is uncovered. I think it should either be A, a balk, or B, just flat out not allowed. The 2-2. Slow curve inside. Count goes full at 3-2.
So Gonzalez at short is giving some signs to Gill. And you want to shut him down after scoring a couple in the bottom of the first, but you don't want to spend too much mental energy on a single base runner.
3-2.
Oh, great
Slow
pitch.
curve right down the middle, and Brenning knew it. And he takes a slow walk to the dugout. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Gill. Holman remains at second. And here's the center fielder, Colt Cressman.
I guess as a batter, you're not expecting a 3-2 breaking ball like that. But it's been his best pitch so far through these first 6 hitters for North Alabama.
Well, it would have, playing the guessing game, I figured since he had beaten the hitter with 2 fastballs in that at bat that he would come back to it, having just missed with the 2-2 breaking ball. But he doubled up, and he strikes out Brenning. Here's Cressman, and he takes one right at the knees on the outside corner, strike 1. Cressman hitting .243 with a homer and 9 RBIs. He represents the tying run, 2-0 FGCU, with 2 outs in the top of the second.
I wouldn't be surprised if they try to steal third here. There's a lot of looking around in the dugout at signs.
Fastball fouled away, and the count 0-2. See, I'd hate to take the bat out of Cressman's hands
it would
here.
make no sense whatsoever, but why all the signs right now?
Well, I don't understand that either. Plus, Hayes is not deep at third base. He can get to that bag and cover it on a steal. I think now with the count 0-2, it's a moot point. But yeah, you and I both kind of looking around going, man, there's an awful lot of attention being paid to that base runner on second base, and an awful lot coming from the North Alabama dugout as well. But Gill's ahead 0-2 to Cressman.
What's the count? 0-2?
0-2. Now, you can see how important a step is, though. We saw it in the bottom of the first inning when Brate, who's got good speed, beat the throw to the plate by a step. And that's why all this gamesmanship takes place. It does have a purpose. It just takes forever. The 0-2 just outside, 1-2. Good pitch there.
Yeah, this is my first time getting a look at Gill, and I really like the way he pitches.
Brate looking into the dugout to get the signs. And see, to me, this is the whole pitch clock debate. And I have no problem. You want to get the signs from the dugout, but everybody's got 20 seconds. Runner's going, and it's fouled straight back. You know who used to manage that way? I'm going to date myself here. But the last 2 managers that I remember who would do something like that, Billy Martin and Don Zimmer.
Huh.
Zimmer would run a guy, and didn't matter how many outs, didn't matter the count.
It makes no sense, really.
Whitey Herzog would be aggressive also. Not a whole lot of running in baseball anymore. The 1-2. We'll do it again.
But a 2-out runner is going to be off on the swing, not even on the hit of the ball, just on the swing, especially with 2 strikes. You would assume a hit out to the outfield, he's going to score regardless.
Well, you would assume. And I will say the outfield is deep. Coffers shaded towards right center. The 1-2 from Gill. Runner going. Slow curve. Fouled off. The one good thing for the hitter there, Cressman, Gill being a lefty, you're picking up that ball on the right field side of second base while the runner is running from the left field side. So it's not as big a distraction for the hitter Cressman as it normally would be.
And I guess from the psychological part, if North Alabama is trying to get into Gill's head a little bit, that would be less focus on the batter.
Holman. That's the 3rd time that Gill, with that spin move, with nobody covering it. I don't have a problem with the spin move if the bag's covered, or if you make a rule where if you do something like that, you've got to throw the ball. The 1-2. Fastball's inside, 2-2. Well, Cressman's seen a lot of pitches here. He's fouled 4 balls off. I mean, Gill's shown him just about everything. So, Greg, if you're Alex Brate and Justin Gill here, what's your out pitch on 2-2?
His curveball. Try to paint the outside corner with it. Although there is a big hole on the right-hand side of the infield.
The 2-2. Fastball inside. So he's come inside with back-to-back fastballs, missed with both. Count full of 3-2 with 2 outs. If I'm the hitter, don't you start thinking they're going to go soft away? They've come hard inside the last 2.
Yeah, I would. This is 20th pitch of the inning.
Homan with the leadoff second. He's not going. The 3-2, a changeup, outer part of the plate. Cressman protected it and fouled it off. Well, it seems like almost half the pitches have been this at bat.
Yeah, Cressman has done a great job of protecting the plates, staying alive.
2-0 FGCU. Top of the second inning. Homan reached on an error by the second baseman and was balked over to second. 3-2, grounded to short. Gonzalez has it, gets up, throws across the diamond, dug out by Eusebio, and the side is retired. No runs, no hits, 1 man left. Bottom of the second we go, 2-0 FGCU. Bottom of the second, here at Swanson. Bottom of the order for FGCU. Cole Gilmore, Joe Kinker, and Elijah Eusebio. 7, 8, 9 in the batting order to face North Alabama lefty Jacob Laws. The Eagles with 200 runs in the bottom of the first. Lead it 2-0. And Greg, what's the bottom of the second for every broadcast that we do?
Oh, is this our beef jerky bottom of the second?
Yes,
Today's
it is.
beef jerky is out of Ruthven, Minnesota.
What's the flavor today?
Normal flavor, just the
What do you mean
regular normal beef jerky,
What are you
no
talking about?
seasoning, nothing.
It did nothing?
There's so
It's
much
like
flavor.
regular potato chips,
Not
regular
even close.
bugles or something like that.
Yeah, well,
Just-
those are great, by the way.
Wait, which ones?
Both.
Man, you love your carbs. The 1-0 low. 2-0 to Cole Gilmore, who was at the plate in the bottom of the first inning.
So he's seen 4 pitches, all balls. A little bit of an advantage being at the plate during that play. He's seen a couple pitches now.
The 2-0 from Laws. Fastball high, 3-0. There were runners on first and second, 2 outs. The Eagles had already scored 2. And, Eric Gonzalez strayed a little far from second. And Keith Stevens was running to second. And so Gonzalez couldn't go back there. The 3-0 is low, and that's a 4-pitch walk for Gilmore to lead off the second. And so the Eagles kind of ran themselves out of a potential big inning. But Gilmore starts the bottom of the second with a walk. And Greg Anderson, 7 Eagles have come to the plate, and 5 have reached 3 hits, a walk, and an error. So a lot of pressure on Jacob Laws already in this game.
Yeah, I sort of get the vibe that if North Alabama was going to steal one, it would have been last night's game. It was sort of handed to them. There's your opportunity, all the errors, and now to come back and try to beat a pretty good team like FGCU is going to be difficult.
And right fielder Joe Kinker, who can hit any pitch out of any ballpark in college baseball. The 1-0, change up, check swing, strike, 1-1. Kinker, 2 for 4 last night, game-winning 3-run homer in the 8th to break a 3-3 tie in the Eagles' 6-3 win. His first homer since back on March 22nd. Big swing and a miss at a curveball, and Kinker behind in the count 1-2.
You know, for a freshman, a true freshman, to have a couple game winners like this, like he's had, is pretty impressive.
Had a walk-off against, I think it was Rutgers.
It was Rutgers.
At home in mid-March. Extra innings, 3-run shot, a 4-1 win. That game ended only a couple hours ago, Greg. That game, 440. That game, that 350 in regulation. By myself. Kinker hitting .331 on the season. Second on the team in homers with 6. Second on the team in RBIs with 32. Not likely to see a fastball unless it's way high and out of the strike zone. The 1-2, off-speed pitch, just missed. Laws broke that curveball around the plate. It's a tough batter for Laws.
Yeah, and Ben Kiefer trying to frame that pitch. It's been around forever, David, the catcher trying to frame, but some of these guys, like that one, was framed so much that you're not going to get the call.
2-2, comes back with that slow curve on the outer part, and Kinker swings over it. Second strikeout of the game for Laws, one away here in the second.
Well, there's certain hitters that are more comfortable with higher velocity, but so far so good today that they're not hitting the ball in the air like they did when we saw a soft thrower a couple weeks ago.
Laws, you would think the two hitters he'd be most feared to face would be Jay Hayes, and he faced him with 2 out and nobody on, struck him out. And then he faced Joe Kinker with 1 on and nobody out, and he struck him out. So the two big righty bats Laws has been able to handle, and Elijah Eusebio, first pitch swinging, pops it up in the infield. Harris, the first baseman, makes the catch, 2 away. So Gilmore, after walking on 4 pitches, has watched Kinker strike out and Eusebio pop up. And here's Mark Coffers, who singled to start the game and scored in the bottom of the first inning, 2-0 Eagles.
Yeah, I can't say it enough. When you've got a guy that's 6'8" on the mound, he's not a skinny 6'8" either, and the ball's come out of his hand in the mid-70s, that is just an optical illusion that's tough for the batters.
Coffers saw a lot of pitches, though, his first time up. Fastball high, 1-0. Coffers singled, Alex Brates singled to lead off the game for the Eagles. They got an error by the second baseman and eventually a 2 RBI single from Keith Stevens. Gilmore heads back to first. Not much of a threat to steal. He's only attempted 2 on the year, been successful once. The 1-0 to Coffers. Fastball, and he pops it up.
And just when I said they weren't popping them up,
right,
2 in a row.
Popped them up, and Harris catches another one. And so Laws, after the leadoff walk, gets out of it. No runs, no hits, and 1 man left. We've played 2-0 FGCU.
Well, David, 2-0 lead for FGCU here.
Top of the third.
Thursday night, you had an event.
Yes.
It
Cape
was the
Coral.
draft.
Finn's Seafood and Dive Bar.
And during your show that morning, you had talked about how you were going to be live tweeting, that your fingers were going to get a workout.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
happened?
Well, I was tweeting away.
Are you a Giants fan?
How could you tell?
Well, the tweet sort of died down after.
Yeah, my night kind of died down after they took Daniel Jones, quarterback from Duke, 6th overall. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, just had to check in with you on that.
Right. Yeah. Raiders took Hunter Renfrow, the wide receiver out of Clemson, in the 5th round. First pitch swinging is Drew Hudson, and the DH fouls it back. Justin Gill has been nearly perfect. He's had an error behind him in the field, so he's faced 1 over the minimum through 2. 2-0 Eagles. Swing and a miss and another fastball. Gill threw a lot of off speed in the first inning, has thrown more fastballs since.
So has Gruden pretty much drafted the entire Clemson team so far?
Hey, listen.
Not a bad, yeah.
Not a bad philosophy. The 0-2, all speed, low and away, ball 1. I joked on the radio the other day, Greg, that a very simple player personnel theory could be we'll draft the SEC, Clemson, and Ohio State. And occasionally, if we hear a few good things about some kids, as the 1-2's fouled back from an Oklahoma, a Michigan, a Notre Dame, if USC gets their act together, maybe we'll farm some people out to scout a few other teams. But, Greg, if you just selected players from the SEC, Ohio State, and Clemson, I'd like your chances.
Yeah, and what did I hear? I don't follow college football like you do and most other people, but the SEC West alone had more picks than.
Well, the SEC West will have more picks than any other conference. Just that division in college football. And in fact, what they wondered in this draft, would the SEC have more picks, as the 2-2 is low, 3-2 now to Drew Hudson? Would the SEC have more players drafted than the next two conferences, expected to be the ACC and the Big Ten, combined? Of course, it doesn't give you a national championship. The 3-2, and the fastball misses inside. First walk of the day for Gill, and the Lions, for the first time, have a leadoff base runner. Harris Kane, the first baseman, steps up for his first at-bat of the day, and then the lineup will roll over. Ninth place hitter, hitting .221 on the season. No homers, 17 RBIs. 2-0 Eagles. Couple of unearned runs in the bottom of the first inning on a Keith Stevens 2-out, 2 RBI single.
Gill has had really good control today, so that surprises me. Lost him from 0-2.
Shows bunt, and I think it hit him in the back leg, and it did. Slow curveball. The Eagles are petitioning that the first base umpire, John Lavin, determine whether or not he attempted to bunt at it. And I have to admit, I thought it did. Home plate umpire Victor Alejandro now talking with Dave Tillett.
Well, the first base ump ruled it safe, whatever safe would mean.
Well, the Eagles, Justin Gill, the pitcher, pointed at the first base umpire, John Lavin, and said, did he offer at it?
Which I thought he did.
I did too. And if he did, then that would take the place of the ball hitting his back foot. But when Lavin said it did not hit him, and now Dave Tillett's called time, and he's going to walk out and talk with Justin Gill. So the first rally for the Lions on this day. Gill was ahead of Hudson 0-2 and walked him. And now when Kane, showing bunt, gets hit on his back foot, North Alabama's got first and second, nobody out. And their best hitter, Davis Elliott, coming up.
Well, right, so not to steal your thunder for Monday morning, because I'm sure you're raring to go for that show. The Dolphins got a quarterback.
They did. They traded for Josh Rosen. And I don't know how a Dolphin can be upset about it. The guy who was picked 10th overall last year, you get essentially with the 62nd overall pick of the draft, you're throwing in a late round pick in next year's draft just for the heck of it.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was your show or another show I was listening to. Had the Rams given up on their quarterback after the first year if they decided to draft somebody else?
Right. And what did they do? They made a coaching change. Sean McVay comes in, and all of a sudden Jared Goff looks as if maybe the first overall pick of the draft wasn't a waste. Josh Rosen had his coach fired, had 2 offensive coordinators last year, and arguably the worst offensive line in the game. The Eagles' infielders are all running around, and Davis Elliott takes it, ball 1.
Thought that pitch looked pretty good, David.
Elliott flied out to Kinker in right field to start this game. Leads the team with 5 homers and 20 RBIs. And he had 2 hits last night, including a 2-run homer.
Do you bunt him here?
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either.
Arguably my best hitter. I'd have him swing away. Pickoff play at second. Garcia, the second baseman, catching it. But Hudson dove back in. Are you a fan of the whole rotation play there? I mean, the Eagles had 4 infielders on the move on that first pitch when he showed bunt. First and third charging, second baseman running to first, shortstop running to third.
It's a whole lot of movement. I don't really have a strong opinion on it.
Bunted down the third base line. Tough play for Gill. He's going to let it roll, and it will stop right on the chalk. A perfect bunt from Elliott, and the bases are loaded with nobody out.
But here's my question, David. Why would they do that on a no count on the first pitch but not do it there?
Just showing a different look, I guess.
Yeah.
Throwing the Lions off, but it was a picture-perfect bunt from Elliott. And so now a walk, a hit batter, and a bunt single. And the Lions haven't had a ball go 30 feet, and they've got bases loaded with nobody out. And here is Peyton Sockwell, the senior shortstop. Comes in hitting .219 and grounded out the short his first time up. And that was a hard hit ball. Gill would love to get that again because that could be 2. Sockwell with a homer and 16 RBIs.
Corners are up. Middle infield playing for the double play.
And Gill decides to go from the stretch. Slow curve is hit to deep left center field. Coffers back at the wall. Makes the catch. Runners tag up, or at least Hudson did at third to score easily, but Kane was caught at second base about 5 steps off the bag. And by the time he went back to tag up, the Eagles could get the ball back in play. So the runners do not advance.
So you talked about Coffers being an outstanding, not good, an outstanding center fielder. It showed it there. He went probably 50 yards at least. Didn't have to bang into the wall. He caught that ball about hip high on the warning track.
But that's a play where the runners should be on second and third right now.
100%.
Instead, Ben Kiefer comes up with runners on first and second and 1 out. The catcher grounded out to first his first time up.
And here's the other side of that. Kane wasn't halfway either. If you're going halfway anticipating the ball is going to drop, that would be one thing, but he was only about 10 feet off the bag.
Yeah, you got to do one or the other. You either think that's dropping and you want to be far enough down where you can score, or you want to be tagging up so you get the third. So the Eagles catch a break there. Lions get on the board. It's 2-1 FGCU. And Gill misses high and outside to Kiefer, 1-0. And oftentimes it's the little things. If the runners are on second and third with 1 out, the Lions could score a run with an out.
Pass ball.
A single could potentially put them up 3-2. Kane on second, Elliott on first. Gill, the 1-0. Fastball, fouled back, 1-1. Kiefer 0 for 5 in this series with a walk. Leads the team with a 277 batting average, which may explain why he's hitting in the 3-hole. But he has no homers and just 11 RBIs. You don't often see a guy with a 300 slugging percentage in the 3-hole.
No. And what I'm paying attention to, again, is the North Alabama dugout. It's a 1-1 count, 1 out, first and second, and a whole slew of signs coming.
Runners fake as if they're going, and that one grounded to Garcia at second. 4, 6, over to first, 3, double play. So that base running miscue really comes back to haunt the Lions, and Justin Gill gets out of a bases loaded, nobody out situation and just allows the 1 run. 1 run on 1 hit and 1 left. We've played 2.5 at Swanson, and the Eagles lead it 2-1. Bottom of the 3rd inning at Swanson Stadium. FGCU leads it 2-1. It'll be 2-3-4 in the FGCU batting order. Brait, Hayes, and Garcia facing Jacob Laws.
Sorry about that, jumping all over you there. That last double play off the bat, did you think they were going to be able to turn that?
I thought the key was Garcia. You knew coming off the bat it was going to be an in-between hop, and he was not close to second. So he was not only going to have to field an in-between hop, but it was going to be a pretty long toss, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And he went with that backhand flip.
Yep. I did not think they were
either.
going to turn it, so that was a great defensive play. Big play early in the game.
And so North Alabama, with the bases loaded with nobody out and their best hitters up at the top of the order, only get 1. But Laws, who gave up 2 in the first and had a leadoff walk last inning, only to retire 3 in a row, now facing Alex Brait. Brait with a sharp single to center field back in the first inning. Eagles started this game, Coffers and Brait with back-to-back singles, and they both ended up scoring on the Stevens RBI single later on. And a borderline strike there at the knees. Count now 2-1 to Brait. Brait with a hit last night and a hit in the first here. Can't say enough good things about the season the junior catcher is having. Fastball outside 3-1. 43rd game of the year for the Eagles. 43rd start for Alex Brait. And leading the team in hitting, coming in at .335, and you can add a point or 2 to that after his first inning single. The 3-1 from Laws. Fastball skied to center field. He just missed it. Cressman, plenty of room, makes the catch 1 away. Now, Brait was looking for his 4th homer of the year with that swing.
Yeah, and he had a good attempt at it. Just got underneath it, just like he said, a little bit. He had him timed really well.
1 away for Jay Hayes. who did not have Laws timed in his first at bat when he came up with runners on first and second and nobody out, and Hayes could not handle the off-speed pitches of Laws and ended up striking out on a check swing. Laws low with the fastball, 1-0. Hayes still hitting .330 on the year, leading the team with 8 homers and 41 RBIs. Looking for his first hit in this series, however, after going 0 for 3 last night. Slow curve, catches the corner, 1-1.
Laws is going to struggle here if he doesn't get ahead of these batters, though.
And Hayes gets ahead of that slow curve and hits that one off the big batting cage pavilion down the left field line.
Didn't foul that off quite as badly as the one in his first at-bat.
No, his first one, he got ahead of it so far, it was almost like a cartoon. It's tough to hit a ball backwards, but he nearly did. The 1-2 now from Laws to Hayes. Slow curve, outside 2-2. 2-1 FGCU, bottom of the third inning. Wind blowing out to left. In the dirt, count goes full 3-2. Richie Garcia waits on deck. Bunch of right-hand hitters all lined up here for the Eagles. High fastball. Hayes fouls it off. Would you come back with that if you were Laws, or was that your one and only fastball?
That's your one and only. David, what kind of prospects does Jay Hayes has to play next year at the pro level?
I haven't talked to Toe about it, but he's having such a good year. I would think, you hit .330, you're going to get a look-see, although he grounds out to third there, 2 outs and nobody on. Well, I'd be shocked if he doesn't get a shot. He's too good a hitter.
Well, was it Rivera last year, 2 years ago for FGCU?
Mm-hmm.
Who was one of the best hitters in the conference. And
well, he chose not to play, though. I mean, he had opportunities.
Okay.
And he said, no, I'm going to get on with my life. I don't think I'm going to make it to the majors. And so I might as well start my adulthood right now, if you will. Laws with a fastball up and away to Richie Garcia, who flied out to right field in the first inning. Slow curve catches the corner, 1-1.
I think Garcia wants that one back.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to see a whole lot better than that.
And with 2 quick outs, you want to see a pitch or two. Give Gil a little more time to rest between innings.
And Garcia fouls that one straight back, 1-2. Well, 5 of the first 7 batters for FGCU reached base. And since then, Laws has retired 5 in a row. 2 out, nobody on, bottom of the third. Good piece of hitting there by Garcia. He went down to spoil that one. That was Laws' out pitch right there.
Yeah, I think he's going to see a fastball here. And again, most of his fastballs have been up in the zone.
Well, and with 1 and 2 here, I would try to get him to chase something. Fastball misses away, 2-2. He missed his spot badly.
You know, it's a little different windup there. He tried to almost go with the quicker windup, try to get his timing a little bit different that Garcia has seen.
The 2-2. Fastball fouled straight back off the end of the bat. Well, all these pitches for a couple of pitchers who, Greg Anderson, have not worked deep in the games this year. This is the 11th start for Laws. He averaged 3.7 innings a start coming into this game. And Gill had only thrown 26 innings in 12 previous appearances. Slow curve misses 3-2. So even if Laws and Gill are getting guys out, the fact that they've been made to throw so many pitches, you could see a middle reliever in this game. In fact, people are already starting to loosen up in the North Alabama bullpen.
Yeah, this will be his 57th pitch here in the top of the bottom of the third.
3-2. And Garcia skies it down the right field line. Harris, the first baseman, and foul ground makes the catch. And 6 in a row retired by Jacob Laws. 3 up, 3 down for the Eagles after 3. FGCU leads North Alabama 2-1. Top of the fourth inning, Swanson Stadium. 2-1 FGCU. For the Lions in North Alabama, 4, 5, 6 in their batting order. Tate Mathis, Reed Homan, Kevin Brenning to face Justin Gill.
Seems like it's the same theme every game we do, but pitch count. This would be a nice inning for Gill to keep his pitch count a little bit low. Right now he's at 48 pitches according to my count.
Showing bunt, and Mathis actually ducked under that slow curveball. And I think it's because he had run up in the box so much that that ball was curving in. If he had stayed back in the box, I don't think it comes close to hitting him. 1-0 to Tate Mathis, who struck out his first time up.
And I know when players squared a bunt early,
and Mathis pops that one up.
Pitchers are going to try to throw him inside.
Davis Elliott, with 2 out and nobody on last inning, had a bunt base hit to load the bases. Gill got out of it with a long sac fly to the wall to left center field, and then a 4-6-3 double play. The 1-1 fastball, belt high strike, 1-2. Well, you think about it, Greg, that base running mistake where the runners on first and second did not tag and move over. If in theory you get that ground ball to second, that would have tied the game. Runner moves over to third, and Mathis is coming up here with a chance to give the Lions a lead. And when you're struggling to score runs as a team, you've got to take advantage of going 90 feet every time you can.
Yeah, and it might explain why they're 11-30 on the year. Little things like that don't happen to winning teams.
Fastball just misses up and away, and the count goes full to Mathis at 3-2. And Hudson started the third inning by working out a walk and eventually scored. And here's Mathis. Swinging at the 3-2 fastball and striking out. Third K for Gill, one away here in the fourth.
He got Mathis that first time, buckled him on that curveball. Good decision to go with the fastball. Mathis could not time that up.
And that one would have been ball 4 because it was above the belt, more closer to the letters. Here comes the third baseman, Reed Homan, who reached on an error, was balked over to second, and stranded back in the second. Slow curve misses, ball 1. Homan hitting .240 on the season with 2 homers, 18 RBIs. Fastball sliced to Kinker in right field. He doesn't have to move very far, and we've got 2 out here in the 4th. Right fielder Kevin Brenning comes to the plate. He struck out back in the second, and you had asked for Gill to maybe have a quick 4th inning here.
He's on pace so far. 7 pitches so far here in the top of the 4th. But he's at 55 pitches.
As we mentioned, just his 4th start of the year. This is 13th appearance. And with that line out, he has now recorded 30 innings on the season. So he does not go deep into games, and he has not had many starts. So,
no, and I think if they could get 85, 90 pitches out of him today, that would be about the limit.
Fastball fouled into the FGCU dugout, which gets a rise out of them. Heckling those that scurried out of the way. 2 outs, nobody on, top of the 4th. 2-1 FGCU. And the 1-1's a fastball on the outside corner. Gill ahead of Brenning, 1-2. Come back with a slow curve here.
Yeah, I do.
The 1-2, fastball, call, strike 3. Second time that Brenning is caught looking in this game. 4th strikeout for Gill through 4 innings. Bottom of the 4th we go. Eagles lead at 2-1. Bottom of the 4th inning, FGCU leads North Alabama 2-1, 5, 6, 7 in the Eagles lineup. Eric Gonzalez, Keith Stevens, Cole Gilmore to face lefty Jacob Laws, who allowed 2 unearned runs in the first inning, but has retired 6 in a row since a leadoff walk to Gilmore in the second. Changeup is high, ball 1 to Gonzalez, who reached on an error with 2 outs and 2 on in the bottom of the first inning. That loaded the bases for Stevens, and he brought in 2 with a sharp RBI single. Fastball, and that one hit to fairly deep center field. Cressman now coming in a couple steps. Makes the play, 1 away, 7 in a row retired by Laws.
And up until that batter with Gonzalez, the previous 3 batters in the bottom of the third all had 3-ball counts on them, 2 of them full counts. So they are making Laws throw pitches, but just not getting the results.
1 away for Stevens, who has the big hit in this game. Bases loaded, 2 out, bottom of the first. Sharp single to center, 2 runs scored. Put the Eagles on top 2-0. They lead 2-1. There's a lefty playing catch in the Lions bullpen. Slow curve, catches the corner, 1-1. Mentioned Laws is retired 7 in a row, but 5 of the first 7 batters in this game got on, and he threw a lot of pitches early, Greg.
Yeah, he's in the 60s, low 60s right now.
The 1-1's a fastball fouled straight back. I'm not a huge pitch count guy unless a pitcher's coming off an arm injury. I'm more like he's retired 7 in a row. Say they're going to go 75 pitches, but if he's retired 9 in a row at 75 pitches, I got to admit, I got a hard time taking him out.
No, and we don't know much about Laws, but he's a big kid.
That one sliced through the right side and is a 1-out single for Stevens, who's 2 for 2.
Laws doesn't throw very hard. I can't imagine. We don't know his history of pitch counts and any kind of injuries, but he seems like somebody that should be able to throw plenty of pitches in a ball game.
Mentioned, and as you can see, big fella at 6'8", listed at 285. Sophomore out of Loretto, Tennessee. So 1 out, 1 on for the left-hand hitting DH Cole Gilmore, who walked on 4 pitches his first time up, and that one bounced. That ball bounced in the grass. Didn't even get to the dirt before it bounced.
Gilmore hit a home run last night, and I wonder if that has something to do with Laws, the way he's pitching him. He hasn't thrown him a strike yet.
No, he has not. 5 pitches, 5 balls. Gilmore, as you mentioned, 2 for 2 last night with a homer, a double, and a walk. The 1-0's a slow curve, and that one hit the deep right field. Brennan goes back and makes the catch on the edge of the track. So that's a hard hit, second out for Gilmore. Stevens goes back to first, 2 away. And here's Joe Kinker.
So Kinker struggled in his first at-bat trying to pick up the timing. And we'll see if this second at-bat he's able to time it out a little bit better.
We've seen Kinker struggle with soft-tossing lefties before. Loves his fastballs. Let's see if he can hit something else here. Straight change on the corner for a strike. Kinker struck out back in the second inning. Did have the deciding blow last night. Broke open a 3-3 tie in the 8th with a 3-run homer, his first in 5 weeks in the Eagles' 6-3 win. Laws just paying attention to Stevens long enough. Bottom of the 4th, 2 outs, 1 on, 2-1 Eagles. Change up, hit the straightaway center field. Cressman back, and it's over his head. It one-hops off the wall. Rounding third and heading for home is Stevens. He'll score, and it's an RBI double for Kinker, and the Eagles lead at 3-1.
That's the best ball you and I have seen Kinker hit in a long time. And he finally just had him timed, just looking for that breaking ball. And that was up in the zone, and he jumped on it.
And certain players hit a ball, and it just carries more. Cole Gilmore, right before Kinker, appeared to square one up and hit it harder than Kinker. But Gilmore's ball started to sink, didn't have the spin that Kinker has because, well, he's just a genuine power hitter. And you know what I'm talking about,
yeah.
Greg, that certain guys hit a ball at just the right angle, in which the ball just seems to carry.
Yeah, and Cressman had a great attempt at that, was full speed from the get-go.
And he thought he had it all the way. You could
Yeah.
tell by how he was running. He was positioned perfectly. It was hit straight at him. He's running at full speed. The whole way he thinks he's going to get that ball. And the ball just outran him.
That's a big run. As you had mentioned, they had Laws had retired 7 in a row before the Stevens base hit. Gilmore puts a ride into one. That's big to get that third run in. Now we're going to get a visit to the hill.
Well, the Lions stalled long enough.
So, David, let's talk about my Twins. You know what last night was at Target Field?
Well, it was a promotion, right?
La Tortuga night for Willens Astudillo.
Yeah, but wasn't he not in the lineup?
Oh, you would think that. You would think.
Shouldn't the marketing department and the front office kind of get on the same page there?
You don't mess with analytics. They let him pitch hit late in the game.
Oh,
he got a base hit.
That was nice.
In a 6-1 game, eighth inning.
Nice.
The remaining, 1,800 fans that were sticking around gave him a nice applause.
Well, that'll be it for Jacob Laws. That RBI double by Kinker chases him. It's 3-1 FGCU. And pitching now for the Lions will be 6'1" junior lefty Bryant Claunch. Claunch.
What number we got here?
Number 31.
31. Here we go. Are you surprised that they pulled Laws?
No, I am not. Although it was Eusebio at the bottom of the order, and he was retired on one pitch his first time up, a foul pop-up. Claunch, 4-1 on the season with a 2.68 earned run average. All but one of his appearances has been in relief. You could tell he's a bridge guy. He averages about 2.5 innings an appearance, so you could see this was the game plan. Try to get through maybe 4 with Laws and bring Claunch in and maybe get 3 innings out of him and then turn it over to a closer and get a W. The Lions were able to get through last night's game only throwing 2 pitchers.
It's got to be a little bit intimidating. Coming from out of state, you automatically associate Florida with being a baseball state.
Sure.
And, I remember coming down here in high school. We spent spring break. We just got in a bus. Eastern Airlines had folded.
Oh, there we go.
About a month before we were supposed to leave. And we just headed down here, spent a week in Miami. And when you're, from the Midwest, from the Chicago area, you just couldn't fathom how these kids could play year-round. And so, North Alabama is not obviously too far north of here, but I guess what I'm getting at is it's got to be a big home field advantage for FGCU. And you're North Alabama, you're coming in at not the best record, 11-30, 5-10 in the A-Sun. Trying to just get one of these wins has got to be an accomplishment.
3-1 FGCU, and lefty Bryant Claunch facing Elijah Eusebio, and the junior first baseman who popped up to the first baseman Harris in foul ground to end the second inning. The 1-0 is a curveball high, 2-0.
Velocity somewhat similar.
Yes.
To Laws.
Now obviously Claunch here about 7 inches shorter. The 2-0, Eusebio, and that might have been a strike, but Kiefer dropped it. And so Alejandro, the home plate umpire, says, nope, 3-0.
You got an empty base at first base, but I don't think that has anything to do with the 3 balls.
Give Eusebio the green light here?
Oh, yeah.
He's got 3 homers. The 3-0, fastball, belt high for a strike, 3-1. Eusebio came into the game last night as a late inning defensive replacement. Hitting a .195 on the season, but he's got 3 homers and 16 RBIs. The 3-1. And he's swinging at a high curveball, and he may foul out to the first baseman for a second time, and he does. So Claunch comes in to get Eusebio, and the side is retired. But not before Joe Kinker has an RBI double, 1 run, 2 hits, and 1 left. We've played 4 at Swanson, and the Eagles lead the Lions 3-1. Top of the 5th inning here at Swanson Stadium. FGCU with a 3-1 lead on North Alabama. Second ever meeting between the two schools. It's the Lions' first year in the A-Sun. They come in with a conference record of 5-10. FGCU just a half a game out of first and tied with Liberty in the loss column with a 10-3 record. Bottom of the order for the Lions here in the 5th, 7, 8, 9. Cressman, Hudson, and Kane to face Justin Gill. Gill's really only had 1 inning where he had to work hard, that back in the 3rd when the Lions loaded the bases with nobody out, but managed just 1. And Cressman fakes as if he's going to bunt at a high fastball, ball 1. What's that, about the 4th time we've seen a Lion fake as if they're going to bunt? They've tried to bunt twice, been successful once for a hit.
Well, I guess when you're hitting 230 as a team, that's not a bad option.
Gill comes back with another high fastball, 2-0 to Colt Cressman, who grounded out to short to end the 2nd inning. Cressman looking for his first hit in the series. 2-0, fastball on the outside corner, good pitch, 2-1. Cressman, like a lot of Lions hitters, not a lot of power. North Alabama with only 3 of their 9 batters with more than 1 home run. Fastball just misses the outside corner, 3-1. Cressman, one of those with 1 homer and 9 RBIs to go with his now .242 batting average.
That last pitch looked pretty much identical to the 2-0 pitch that he got for a strike.
Might even a little bit better. Must have been outside. The 3-1 is low as Gill went off speed, and Cressman works out a leadoff walk. The DH, Drew Hudson, who drew a leadoff walk and scored back in the 3rd inning, the Lions' only run of the game.
We don't have a great view of the FGCU bullpen, but do you see anybody?
I do not, and I have a little better view than you. I see no movement and no one throwing. Hudson to face Gill. Fastball outside, ball 1.
You know, Gill, the first few innings looked like he was pitching. Now he sort of looks like he's throwing a little bit. And I wonder if he's getting a little bit tired.
Cressman, 6 of 8 stealing bases with a modest lead off first. The 1-0 is high, 2-0. As Gill can't find the strike zone with his fastball, and now there's some movement in the dugout, and I think a couple of guys are going to head to the bullpen and start throwing.
Some movement in the skies as well, David. That wind is starting to pick up. You can see it on the flag, the trees blowing straight out to left field.
Which favors, obviously, the right-hand hitting DH Drew Hudson, who's ahead of the count now 3-0. The 3-0, he's taking, and it's just a little high and outside. Back-to-back walks here in the top of the fifth inning for Justin Gill. Now here's the ninth place hitter, Harris Kane, who 2 innings ago, Greg, when Hudson drew a leadoff walk, was bunting and got hit by a pitch. You would think here with first and second and nobody out, he would clearly be bunting. Ninth place hitter hitting .221 on the season.
Yeah, and those of you watching, if you're wondering why Kane is staring into the dugout, that's where the signs are coming from.
They're not coming from the third base coach. First and second, nobody out, and a fastball is outside to Harris Kane, ball 1.
David, our predictions today have just been spot on. Doesn't square to bunt there, which I fully anticipated him to do.
It is interesting strategy. Leadoff batter on in the third, trailing 2-0, bunting. Down 3-1 in the fifth inning, first and second, nobody out, not bunting. But doesn't mean he can't attempt a bunt later on in the at-bat. Action in the FGCU bullpen. Lineup flips over after Harris Kane. The 1-0 is a fastball, belt high for a strike, 1-1.
Now, the strategy I agree with is making Gill throw strikes. He had just thrown 6 in a row, 6 balls in a row, so now maybe the plans change here with a 1-1 count.
Cressman off second, Hudson off first. The 1-1 from Gill. Now he shows bunt, and he bunts it, and it's a pretty good one in front of the plate. Brate's got to go to first, and the sacrifice works for Harris Kane. Second and third, 1 out, top of the order. Here comes Davis Elliott.
Good bunt.
Well, 2 of the 3 bunts have been very effective for the Lions. The one was a base hit, and that was by Elliott his last time up. But this, the leading hitter for North Alabama, second in batting average at .274, and leads the team in homers with 5 and RBIs with 20. And Alex Brate, I think, got the signal from the dugout to go to the mound and burn some clock.
Based on his slow trot out there. Kill as much time as possible. Well, it's the same thing UNA did a little bit ago. Catcher went out, Kiefer to have a little talk, and by the time he got back to home, coach went out there and made a pitching change.
Elliott hit a 2-run homer in the Lions' 3-run third inning last night. And I mentioned leading the team in homers and RBIs. This is exactly who Mike Keene, head coach of North Alabama, would want at the plate in this situation. First base open with 1 away. Third time through for Davis Elliott. So he's got a good look at Justin Gill. And Dave Tillett's going to let Gill face Elliott. Fastball fouled straight back. He was looking for it and just missed it.
I didn't flinch that time, David.
I didn't either.
I'm getting better.
Well, We're just about getting to the point where they're going to stop looking at us. They still do. We're kind of like the animals in the zoo. Foul ball comes back, and the staff just looks to their right to see whether or not we flinch. We haven't reached that season ticket holder in Toronto status yet.
No, no.
That lady's still there watching the Raptors and the Leafs in the playoffs, I think. My goodness, she was stoic. 1-1 the count now as Gill misses with a curveball in the dirt. So he went fastball, which Elliott was all over, misses low with a slow curve. This is not a good matchup for Justin Gill. This is a dangerous spot in this game, and I don't know how many more batters Gill faces either.
So right-hander in the bullpen warming up. It looks like he's ready.
The 1-1. Changeup misses low and away. 2-1. See, it's a really tough spot for a catcher calling pitches, a manager calling pitchers from the dugout, and a pitcher when you know your fastball can't beat this guy. So you're going to have to either hope he hits it at somebody or you're going to have to get him out with something else. The 2-1. Fastball lined right to Garcia at second, and we called it. Sometime John Smoltz famously said one time, he was asked, how do you get out of a situation? He goes, sometimes you just throw it over the plate and hope they hit it at somebody. And that's what Davis Elliott did right there. He lines to Garcia at second and a big second out for Gill and the Eagles.
Perfectly positioned. Toe knew exactly what he was doing there.
Well, the defense was perfect. Gill gets the key second out. He's an out away from the 5 innings that you need in order to get the decision. But I don't know if Dave Tillett's going to let him face Peyton Sockwell for a third time.
So I certainly hope this doesn't mimic what happened in Toronto last night. But Toronto had the winning run at third base, and Teoscar Hernandez lines out just like that to second base. What does the next guy do? Walk off. Brandon Drury. So Nick Bittner is going to be coming in with the pitching change.
The sophomore right-hander, Nicholas Bittner, who's 2-2 on the season with a 3.19 earned run average. This is 17th appearance. 11 of the 17 have been in relief. He averages a strikeout an inning. And opponents are hitting .243 against Nicholas Bittner. So Gill got out of a mess in the third inning with bases loaded, nobody out, and he only allowed a run. Now here in the fifth, he had second and third with 1 out, got the liner to second, but it'll be Bittner to try to get out Peyton Sockwell to get out of the fifth. The Eagles with a 3-1 lead.
That isn't interesting to now look back at that, letting him pitch to Elliott, and it worked out.
Well, I don't know if Bittner was ready. I think Bittner got ready about midway through that at-bat.
Well, at one point I looked down, and his hands were on his hip, and who knows? Obviously, you and I aren't down there.
But Sockwell, who grounded out the short and hit a sacrifice fly to the wall in left center field for the only run of the game for the Lions. So you knew Toe wasn't going to let him face Gill since he nearly hit one out of the park last time up. Sockwell hitting .219 on the season with a homer and 16 RBIs, but he's watching Bittner warming up thinking, well, single ties this game.
So FGCU, let's review just a little bit about their ASUN. They start the ASUN season losing 2 out of 3. And since then, they've gone 9-1. They sit at 10-3. And we've been saying it, and now it's not even a speculation. If they're going to make the tournament, the NCAA tournament, it's going to be by going through and winning the ASUN.
Yeah, the ASUN this year is a one-bid league. So here's Sockwell against Bittner. Key at bat of this game, and Bittner leads off Sockwell with a strike.
That's a nice slider right on the outside corner.
Cressman on third, Hudson on second. Peyton Sockwell, Nicholas Bittner. Curveball low, 1-1. The outfield straight away and deep at the corners. Coffers plays center, a little shorter, a little more shallow, I should say, than most. The 1-1. Fastball, popped foul, and out of play right side. And that's something we have not seen much of this afternoon, Greg. Pitchers coming inside with a fastball in the hands because both starters have been soft tossing lefties.
Yeah, and even the reliever now for North Alabama, same deal. So a much different style of pitching for Bittner, doing a good job so far, getting ahead.
The 1-2, fastball's way outside, 2-2. Reared back for a little something extra, held onto it a touch longer. 2 outs, top of the fifth. Second and third for North Alabama. Eagles with a 3-1 lead. Bittner, fastball grounded right side. Stopped by Eusebio, but he can't make a play. 1 run has scored. And Hudson, who made a big turn at third, is able to dive back in. So it's an infield single for Sockwell. And it's actually been ruled an error.
It was a tough play by Eusebio. He had to dive. Once he got the ball, though, when he stood up, he kicked it, literally. So he had stopped the ball, went to stand up and field the ball, and kicked it, which allowed that run to score.
So no RBI then for Sockwell, as it's ruled E3, but a run scores. It's 3-2 FGCU. Hudson now at third, Sockwell at first, and here's the catcher, Ben Kiefer. Slider low, 1-0. So the back-to-back walks by Justin Gill have come back to haunt him and the Eagles thus far. Lions with 1 in, runners on the corners, 2 outs. The 1-0 is a fastball inside, and now there's a rundown, and the Lions able to accomplish at least part of their goal as they sent Sockwell down to second to try to get a throw on Hudson. They were hoping to double steal and have Hudson score, but at the very least, they get Sockwell now to be in scoring position where a single should give the Lions the lead. The pitch was a strike, so the count's now 1-1 to Kiefer.
They had Sockwell. Sockwell was dead to rights at trying to steal second if they had made a play on him.
But the Eagles were concerned that if they got involved in a rundown to try to get Sockwell, and that one lined hard to short. Gonzalez fields it on 2 hops, throws over to first, and FGCU able to get out of it, but not before the Lions score 1 run on no hits and error, and 2 men left on base. We're halfway at Swanson Stadium. Eagles lead the Lions 3-2. Bottom of the fifth inning, 3-2 FGCU over North Alabama. Top of the order for the Eagles. Coffers, Brait, and Hayes facing Bryant Claunch.
Well, Claunch reminds me a lot of that Lipscomb pitcher that we talked about earlier. Not a hard thrower, not a big guy. Hopefully FGCU stays on top of the baseball.
Claunch came in after the Eagles had already scored a run on the Joe Kinker RBI double, and he got Elijah Eusebio to foul out to first to end the fourth inning. So he'll face Coffers for the first time. Coffers was 1 for 2 against Jacob Laws, led off the game with a single and scored back in the first and fouled out to the first baseman to end the second inning. Claunch with an overhand curve is low, ball one. The 1-0 is a curveball, low and inside, 2-0. Eagles have led the whole way. They scored 2 in the bottom of the first, and after the Lions got 1 in the top of the third. Kinker's RBI double in the fourth put them up 3-1. Off-speed pitch and a good one for a strike, 2-1.
So last night FGC was chasing a 3-2 lead for 3 innings of that game. So now we've got an opposite scenario here.
The 2-1, missing inside. Coffers ahead of the count, 3-1. Coffers with over twice as many strikeouts as walks. So doing a good job facing Claunch here, having him show what he's got. He shows a bunt, and Claunch threw in a batting practice fastball to get the count to 3-2.
Yeah, Holman at third base was playing way back, but it looked like Coffers was trying to push that ball on the right-hand side if he had gone through with that bunt attempt.
So the 3-2 from Claunch to Coffers. And it's called strike 3, and Coffers can't believe it. He was 3 steps down the first base line. A couple of pitches similar in that at bat were called balls, but that's a strikeout for Claunch and the Lions, 1 away here in the fifth.
I didn't think it was a terrible pitch at all, and you and I have talked about in the previous broadcasts about players today not protecting with 2 strikes.
Nope. It's because there used to be, and I don't know if this is maybe overstating it, as Alex Brait takes a curveball for a strike. He's 1 for 2, having singled and scored back in the first inning. 1-1 now. There was a little bit of shame that came with striking out.
Oh, yeah.
A generation or so ago. And now there is none. The 1-1, Brait pops it up foul. Is it in play? The catcher Kiefer comes over and watches it bounce behind the dugout.
Well, MLB has become a home run strikeout league.
Well, last year there were more strikeouts than hits for the first time in the history of baseball, and they're picking up right where they left off. There's far more strikeouts than hits so far this season. One, two now, Bryant Claunch to Alex Brait here in the bottom of the fifth. Swing and a miss and back-to-back strikeouts for Claunch. 2 away. Jay Hayes is 0 for 2. He struck out his first time up and grounded out to third, back in the third. Well, this is one of those consolidation innings so far for Claunch and the Lions. You get a run and you want your pitcher to come right back and shut him down, and you feel as if you got a little something going on. Fastball just outside, 1-0. I will say Claunch, who can come a little three-quarter, has come more over the top this inning with both a curveball and his fastball. There's the curve, called strike.
Yeah, if you're Hayes, you're definitely not looking for a slow curve on that 1-0 pitch.
Especially
1-0
since, in
count.
theory,
Yeah.
that pitch is going to bend into your hitting zone.
Yeah.
The 1-1. Fastball grounded sharply past the diving Sockwell into left field for a base hit. And Hayes is a 2-out base runner.
That ball got deflected by Sockwell and killed it a little bit. Hayes thought about two, but Mathis did a great job of hustling in and getting that ball in to hold Hayes to a single.
Up steps the cleanup hitter, junior second baseman Richie Garcia, who's 0 for 2. He flew out to right back in the first inning and popped up to the first baseman to end the third inning. Richie hitting a little over 300 with 3 homers and 23 RBIs. And takes a fastball in the low outside corner for a strike. Hayes is not a threat to steal. And when I say not a threat to steal, I mean he hasn't even attempted to steal yet this year and does not have a big lead off first. Slow curve, just low, 1-1.
That was a good spot on that pitch.
Was
Could have very easily been called a strike.
I thought Kiefer did a really good job behind the plate framing it too. Garcia rips it foul as Claunch. I also like the pitch selection here. Starts off fastball, then curve, and then takes even more off it with a changeup.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is the first time FGCU has had a base runner in a 2-out situation after 2, so might as well keep this going. Call a little 2-out bingo here in this inning.
Nothing wrong with that. Bryant Claunch says, I don't like what you guys are talking about. I'm one pitch away from getting out of this. The 1-2. In the dirt. Nice job by Kiefer. But Hayes sees the ball get away. And while Kiefer kept it from going behind him to the backstop, it rolled in front of the plate. And so Hayes alertly comes over to second. And now a single could lead to a run.
Good job by Hayes reading that. I certainly did see that. I don't know about you, but that ball had a slow roll out towards the pitching mound.
It was like a hockey goalie that makes a save, and for a split second, no one sees the rebound except for one guy. And that guy in this case was Jay Hayes. Count now 2-2 to Richie Garcia. Just misses low and inside. That was similar to the pitch that Coffers was called out on leading off this inning. So the count now full at 3-2. Eric Gonzalez waits on deck.
So Hayes should be able to get a good jump on a swing here and see if we can't get a 2-out score.
The 3-2 fouled away. Garcia way out ahead of that one. Well, Claunch did not give in there, Greg. He went with an off-speed pitch looking for the low outside corner.
Yeah, and that came inside, was low. Garcia probably swung at ball 4, but I'm swinging. We just talked about how players aren't protecting with 2 strikes anymore. Can't fault him for that.
3-2 is high, and it's a 2-out walk with first base open. So Eric Gonzalez will step to the plate with first and second and 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. And what was going along smoothly for Bryant Claunch and was one pitch away from a 1-2-3 inning is now him working very hard.
And this is what we're talking about here, a little 2-out rally. Haven't had one yet today.
Gonzalez with 2 outs and 2 on came up in the first inning and hit a sharp grounder as he takes a high strike. Hit a sharp grounder to second, which Elliott could not handle. Everyone was safe. Stevens came up after him with a single, drove in 2. And then Gonzalez flied out to center field last inning.
Little chat with the third base coach now. Gonzalez, what is he telling him? Hit the ball hard, hit it where nobody is.
My guess is that he saw something from Claunch there. There's really no reason to come in there and talk to the hitter unless you saw something with the pitcher there and you're like, hey, that's what I see. We'll see what Gonzalez sees. The 0-1. Lines one, base hit, left field. Hayes rounds third, is headed home. He will score, and the Eagles lead it 4-2. There's that two-out bingo you were talking about.
I felt it, David.
It was 2 outs, nobody on. Hayes singled, went to second on a wild pitch. Garcia worked out a walk. And then Gonzalez with the RBI single to left.
That was a meaty pitch, David.
Yes, it was. Fastball, belt high, right down the middle. And Gonzalez didn't miss it. Runners on first and second, 2 outs now for Keith Stevens. And Stevens is 2 for 2. 2 RBI single in the first, and he singled and scored last inning. And so much for North Alabama having a consolidation inning and keeping the momentum going. Big swing and a miss at a slow curve, strike one. Stevens with 3 hits in this series already against North Alabama pitching. 4-2 Eagles, 2 on, 2 out, bottom of the 5th. Grounded foul, and Claunch with a couple off-speed pitches ahead of Stevens, 0-2.
And Stevens has been way ahead of both of those pitches. You know, his single up the middle in the first, and then I believe he went to the right side for his second base hit. He's ahead of Claunch on these 2 first pitches, though.
The 0-2 shows him the fastball high. Stevens lays off it. So Claunch has struggled with the righty hitters, Hayes, Garcia, and Gonzalez. A single, a walk, and an RBI single. The 1-2, high, 2-2 to Stevens.
His 25th pitch of the inning, David. That's getting up there after having 2 strikeouts to start the inning.
Well, back-to-back fastballs. If I'm Stevens, I'm looking for something off speed here, and he throws a fastball for a strike. I'm walking to the dugout. The 2-2, change up right on the outside corner. Call strike 3. So Claunch strikes out the side, but in between the Eagles get a couple of singles, a walk, and score a run. We've played 5 at Swanson Stadium, FGCU 4 and North Alabama 2. Top of the 6th inning. FGCU leads North Alabama 4-2. The Eagles have not trailed in this game. Leading 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, and now 4-2. Answering the Lions' run in the top of the 5th with a 2-out rally in the bottom of the 5th. Nicholas Bittner, who came on with 2 on and 2 outs in the top of the 5th inning. We'll start things off against 4, 5, 6 in the Lions batting order. Tate Mathis, Reed Homan, and Kevin Brenning.
That was a big run to answer their run in the bottom of the 5th there. A little 2-out rally.
And Mathis, the left fielder, steps in having struck out in his 2 previous plate appearances against Justin Gill, so he's thrilled to be facing Bittner as he slices one foul and out of play, and he's behind in the count 0-2. Plus, Gill was a lefty and Bittner's a righty, and you would think the left-hand hitting Mathis is like, yeah, I'll take my chances against the righty.
Yeah, but now he's sitting at 0-2, having struck out twice already. Not the best feeling in the world if you're a hitter.
The 0-2 is just outside 1-2. Pitcher's pitch there. Great setup just outside the zone. You know, it was a generation ago, the Maddoxes of the world, you could do that. You know, the old, if it hit the catcher's glove, it was a strike.
Yeah.
Set up a few inches off the plate, hit the glove, get the call, strike 3. The 1-2, 2-2. Do you know there was a game played in 2 hours earlier this week? 2 hours.
A major league game.
A Major League Baseball game, 9 innings. Yes.
And who would that have been?
Don't ask me that. I knew you were going to when I brought it up. Swing and a miss as Mathis strikes out for the 3rd time. I thought it was out west. 2 hours, basically, the game was played. See, now you're going to have me look it up, which is going to affect everything, Greg. I've got it set up. I can see every pick of the NFL draft on my phone, and now you got
there was a 1-0 game on the other coast, I remember.
Right. I think it was Astros beating the Mariners, or somebody was beating Seattle. And you know that because you've got Dan Vogelback on your fantasy team. I do. And second batter that Eagles pitching has hit on this day as Bittner tried to break off a curveball, and it hit Reed Holman in the back. So Holman hit by a pitch. That brings the tying run to the plate. And right fielder Kevin Brenning. Brenning has struck out twice. Both those appearances against Justin Gill, struck out looking both times. So he's got to be happy to see the righty Bittner as well. Bittner misses up and away with a fastball. A delayed steal attempt by Holman. And then Holman goes racing back. We'll say North Alabama runs very effectively. Holman, 5 of 6 attempted stolen bases. But Brenning is a perfect 6 for 6. Hudson a perfect 4 for 4. North Alabama has been very effective running this season. They just haven't had a lot of base runners.
That's what I was just going to say.
Fastball up and away again. 2-0. Bittner to Kevin Brenning.
And just like last night, UNA just not getting base hits. They've got 1 hit today. However, 2 hit batters, a handful of walks. They're getting base runners. Last night, only 3 hits in the game.
One out, one on. Runner fakes as if he's going. Fastball was close, but called the ball, and Brenning ahead of Bittner, 3-0. Brenning does have 3 home runs, second on the team with those 3 homers. The 3-0, he takes a fastball right down the middle, 3-1. Do you subscribe to the old theory that what you see on 3-0 you'll get on 3-1? Which is why
I generally
most players take 3-0? Holman, who has twice appeared to be attempting to steal, so Bittner wants to keep him close. Would you send him here, 3-1? Big hole through the right side.
Yeah, I would.
He fakes as if he's going, and the fastball tails outside, ball 4. So Bittner, after striking out Mathis, hits Holman with a first pitch curveball, walks Brenning on 5 pitches, and North Alabama's got themselves a 1-out rally, first and second, And here's the center fielder, Colt Cressman.
Is that the 5th walk of the game? 4 walks, 2 hit batters.
And not that many hits.
1 hit.
Cressman grounded out to short to end the second inning. He lays off that slider 1-0. He walked and scored last inning. North Alabama so far, 14 innings against FGCU pitching, 4 hits, 3 last night and 1 so far in 5 1/3 innings today. The 1-0, fastball, high strike, 1-1. Bittner needed that one.
Their lack of hits, though, supplemented nicely by walks, errors, hit batters.
Well, the Eagles, 2 errors behind all those walks and a couple of hit batters. Only 2 1, 2, 3 innings so far in this game. Slider, check swing, foul at the plate. Cressman behind 1-2.
Do you notice many baseball teams giving the signs from the dugout?
Well, in Major League Baseball, it doesn't happen much. It happens a lot well, I shouldn't say that, no, because it usually goes from the dugout through the catcher or the third base coach, depending on. And Bittner keeping Homan close. Homan, I mentioned, 5 of 6 in attempted steals. Brenning a perfect 6 for 6. And Brenning not being held on first. They're not running, and Bittner gets away with a high slider as Cressman fouls it off. So he tried to double up on that slider, Greg. I might go straight country hardball here.
Yeah, and I would have it up, too. Cressman looks like he wants to swing at that higher pitch.
The 1-2, high fastball. You called it, swing and a miss. Second strikeout of the inning for Bittner. 2 away. 2 on for the DH Drew Hudson, who's walked both times, but that was against lefty Justin Gill. This, his first time facing righty Nicholas Bittner.
So with 2 outs, 2 on, 8-9 coming up here, both freshmen. We got to end this inning now.
Both hitters also with no home runs. So not a power threat. I would think you don't mess around with them. You come right after them. Bittner holds on to it for a long time, but delivers a first pitch slider for a strike. Strikeout of Tate Mathis. First pitch, he hits Reed Holman, who's now on second. Walked Kevin Brenning on 5 pitches. And then another strikeout of Colt Cressman. Bittner holding on to it for a long time again. Another slider, that one deemed high.
That was a good pitch.
Oh, and it's a tough pitch for the hitter because for most of that 60 feet 6 inches, that ball's high. But it looked like might have been just under the belt when it crossed the plate. But whole plate umpire Victor Alejandro did not agree. 1-1. Check swing on the high fastball. John Lavin at first says no swing. 2-1 now the count.
Not a whole lot of energy in Swanson Stadium right now. Both benches, both dugouts, pretty quiet.
No wind either. A listless afternoon right now, but beautiful nonetheless. The 2-1. At the very least, Greg, if we go to some kind of pitch clock, you do something like that, to me, it's got to reset at 15. Like
Yeah.
if it's normally 20,
Yeah.
if you're going to do something like that, then reset it at 15. Fastball up and in. Bittner behind 3-1. I do think I'm one of 14 people in North of America that actually wants to speed up baseball. I really do. Everyone else looks at me like,
Well, in all
dude.
seriousness, it's happening at the major league level. How soon before it trickles down?
Well, and none of the players are in favor of it either. The commissioner wants it, and seemingly no one else does. The 3-1. Fastball fouled straight back. Hudson was waiting for it and just missed it. Hudson's hitting a $194. The on-deck hitter, Harris Cane's hitting 221. If you're Nicholas Bittner and Alex Brait, the catcher, here's a fastball. Hit it if you can. First and second, 2 outs. The 3-2. Fastball's low. So second walk of the inning to go with a hit batter. And the Lions, for the second time today, Greg, have loaded the bases.
So you got the 9-hole hitter who is no 0 for 0. He's got a sac bunt and hit by pitch. Comes in hitting 221.
And Dave
Flett
freshman making the slow walk to the mound. He's got a lefty who's warm and ready in the bullpen. It's a right-hand hitter in Harris Cane. And I think this is a pep talk conversation. This is like, listen, your stuff's better than their stuff.
Yeah.
Throw it over the plate. Stop messing around.
I got him at 26 pitches this inning, and I might have missed a couple.
Oh, was it the beef jerky?
No. It's hard to say what I'm thinking of sometimes.
Well, I know your wife, so I know she agrees. All right, another key spot in this game. Nicholas Bittner, the righty, against right-hand hitting first baseman Harris Cane. Bittner, the sophomore, against Cane, the freshman, who's hitting 221 on the season. Fastball outside, ball one. As we mentioned, Cane hit by a pitch back in the third inning. Had a nice sacrifice bunt last inning. The 1-0. Fastball at the knees. Good pitch, 1-1. Cane looking for his first hit in this series. Remember, the Lions have only had 4 hits this weekend. 3 last night and 1 so far today. But a single here should tie it. The 1-1. Fouled off at the plate. Got a piece of Brait. He's going to shake it off. 1-2 now to Harris Cane.
And what you had said about that pep talk, you could see that in that pitch right there. Cane, I don't think, can catch up to Bittner's fastball. And so if you throw a breaking ball here, he might be looking to time up a fastball. But either way, big advantage to Bittner.
3 pitches down in the zone. Will he elevate here? The 1-2. Slider just missed. Just missed. Brait framed it. It's what you were talking about, Greg. Cane was able to lay off and basically hope for the call, and he got it.
I think if you bring a fastball onto his hands a little bit, he's not going to be able to do anything with it at this point.
I would look to see fastballs the rest of this at bat. The 2-2 from Bittner to Harris Cane. Slider swings and misses. Bittner strikes out the side in and around 2 walks and a hit batsman, and he leaves the bases loaded. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 3 left on. We go to the bottom of the 6th, 4-2 FGCU. Bottom of the 6th inning. FGCU doubling up North Alabama 4-2. Bottom of the order for the Eagles, 7, 8, 9. Cole Gilmore, Joe Kinker, and Elijah Eusebio to face the second pitcher for North Alabama, Bryant Claunch, who's pitched an inning and a third so far. Has given up a run, and that one's grounded off of Claunch. Could be trouble. Throw over to first. And Claunch gets Gilmore by a step. 1 away. You know, it took me 2 innings, but you knew I was not going to let it go. We were talking earlier about a 2-hour baseball game earlier this week. It was Seattle at San Diego. So it was only 8.5 innings because the Padres won 1-0. 6 total hits in the game. 205.
You feel like you got your money's worth if you go to that game?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, 205. You probably got there a little bit early as Kinker fouls one off 1-1. The freshman struck out in the second inning and had an RBI double in the 4th inning. That gave the Eagles a 3-1 lead. It's now 4-2. 2-1 now to Kinker, who's hitting .333 with 6 homers and 33 RBIs.
So Joe's got to be feeling pretty good about himself with a home run yesterday, a nice double earlier.
He's 3 for 6 in this series with a homer and 4 RBIs.
That was a good breaking ball that Kinker sort of gave a nod to Claunch on that one.
Count now 2-2. Claunch just misses with the fastball low and inside. Count goes full at 3-2. I would not challenge Kinker here. I'd stay low and away and keep it in the park. Claunch goes with a curveball, low and away. Kinker fouls it off. One of the 2 Mariners hits in that 1-0 loss, though, was by the pride of Bishop Verot there, Dan Vogelbach. Just thought I'd mention that.
He is.
Check swing, and that's fair. And fielded by Harris on a couple of hops over to Claunch. And 2 quick outs for Bryant Claunch here in the 6th. He got 2 quick outs, though, in the 5th inning. And the Eagles with some 2-out bingo and scored a run. Here's Elijah Eusebio, who has popped out to the first baseman twice in this game. Unable to time up lefty Jacob Laws. Let's see if he can time up lefty Bryant Claunch. Off-speed pitch misses, 1-0. Fouled off at the plate, 1-1. In paying attention to the draft and some of the big name players, Penn State quarterback Trace McSorley just got taken by the Ravens late in the 6th round. As Claunch bounces that one in there. Pick number 197.
They added another athletic quarterback.
Yeah, they're all in on this offense. I got to admit, if you're going to run it, you got to go all in with it. It's what the Broncos decided not to do with Tebow back in the early part of this decade. It got them in the playoffs. They won a game, and that one ripped to right field, but right at Brenning, the right fielder, and it is a quick 1-2-3-6 for Claunch and the Lions. To the 7th we go, 4-2 FGCU. Top of the 7th we go. Lots of changes for FGCU. We'll start on the mound. Righty Seb Grisecki comes into the game. Grisecki, his 18th appearance. He has an 0-3 record and an ERA of 6. And a brand new infield, at least in terms of where everyone is playing. First pitch. Fouled off by Davis Elliott. Top of the order for the Lions, Elliott, Sockwell, and Kiefer. Richie Garcia has moved from second to third. Christian Profit has come into the game as a defensive replacement at short. Previous shortstop, Eric Gonzalez, has moved to second, and Jay Hayes has moved from third across to first base. So that means Elijah Eusebio made the final out of the inning. He's out of the game. Profit in the game. The other 3 infielders have just been moved around. As Grisecki misses with a curveball, 1-1 to Davis Elliott. Elliott 1 for 3 on the day, having singled back in the 3rd inning.
So Eusebio made the last out in that last inning, so Profit's going to go in for him in the 9 spot.
Yes, that's what we would think, and everyone else stays in same order, just different positions. Eagles closer had to work really hard to nail this one down. Get the final 4 outs last night, throwing nearly 30 pitches. So it's going to be a tough final 9 outs for the Eagles staff.
And speaking of McGarry, the closer, added to the watch list for the closer of the year for NCAA baseball.
Been very effective this year. The Eagles have done a good job, Greg, in winning a bunch of close games in conference, or coming up with a big hit late to make a close game look a little bit wider, like last night, 3-3 bottom of the 8th. You see 6-3 in the paper, and you go, oh, no problem. No, not so much.
Yeah,
six errors, 3-3 in the 8th.
And you and I have sat through a couple games, down 8-0, coming back and winning a game.
Remarkable. The 3-2 is lined to Coffers in center, and he makes the play. One away here in the 7th.
David, you talked about the ball Kinker hit the center, how it just had that different look.
The top spin.
That was a very similar looking hit, but just didn't have the same type of pop.
And it's not like the wind helped either one or hurt either one, because right now the flag is darn near tied to the pole. It's not moving. Here's Peyton Sockwell, the shortstop, as Grosecki misses with a curveball. Ball 1. Sockwell grounded out the short in the first. Hit a ball to the wall in left center field that Coffers made a terrific play on. Was a sacrifice fly, however. And then he reached on an error in the 5th, in which a run scored on the play. Grosecki catches the inside corner 1-1. All it takes is one guy to reach base, and the Lions bring the tying run to the plate. 1-1 fastball. Skied the shallow center field. Coffers in stride. Makes the play. 2 away, and here's the catcher, Ben Kiefer.
Coffers with both outs this inning. The first one hit right at him. That one he had a lot of room to cover. But what was funny is watching right field. Kinker could have had that, but when you're playing next to Coffers, you just
that's yours.
Get out of the way.
Yeah. And Kinker, who's played a lot of DH this year. So, yeah, it's yours. Gold Glove center fielder, if you will. It's all you. Guy who's been on ESPN about 6 times with highlight reel plays. It's all yours. I'm just enjoying the beautiful day out here. The 1-0 to Ben Kiefer, who's 0 for 3 on the day. And he skies one to Gonzalez at second. And it's an easy top of the 7th for Seb Grosecki and the Eagles. 7th inning stretch time at Swanson. Eagles lead the Lions 4-2. The 7th at Swanson Stadium. Eagles, 4 runs, 7 hits, 2 errors. Lions, 2 runs, 1 hit, and 1 error. And yet North Alabama has been threatening against FGCU pitching for much of the day with a handful of walks and a couple of hit batsmen and those 2 errors, but just the 2 runs. So far, North Alabama has more runs than hits in this series. 5 runs to 4 hits in 16 innings against Eagles pitching. It's the top of the order for FGCU here in the bottom of the 7th. Mark Coffers, Alex Brate, Jay Hayes to face Bryant Claunch, who came in with 2 outs in the 4th inning. First pitch swinging. Coffers hits one to deep center field. Cressman on the track makes the catch a step in front of the wall. 1 away. And here's the catcher, Alex Brate. Claunch got out of a bit of a jam when he came in the 4th inning. Retired the first 2 batters in the 5th, and then a couple of hits and a walk, and the Eagles scored a run. He had a 1-2-3 6th. He's retired 5 in a row, and here's Brate, who's also first pitch swinging. And he skies one to Mathis in left field, who makes the catch. So 2 pitches, 2 outs. And here's the first baseman, Jay Hayes, who started this game at third. He struck out in the 1st inning, grounded out to third in the 3rd, singled to begin that 2-out bingo that we talked about in the 5th, and scored the 4th run of the game for the Eagles.
We're going to get a little bit more?
Well, same guys, Hayes, Garcia, and Gonzalez. The only difference, Greg, they're all playing different positions than they were back in the 5th. Claunch catches the knees, 0-1. Changeup grounded to third. Homan fields it on 2 hops. High throw, and Harris goes off his glove. Hayes will go to second. Who will the error go on, the third baseman or the first baseman?
I would think it would go on the third baseman with that throw, although it did hit the glove.
Tell you what, it was
for Kane.
It probably is the error on Homan, but see, Harris didn't not come down with that because the throw was too high. It's because he was trying to catch it and, like, you know, it's that old gravity play. Catch it and come down in time to get Hayes. But so Hayes reaches on the 2-base error. And you asked for a little 2-out bingo. We'll see if Richie Garcia, who's now playing third, can oblige. And he is first pitch swinging, but it's foul. Got ahead of that overhand curveball and hit it foul. Garcia flew out to right field, popped out to first, and then walked in the middle of that 2-out rally back in the 5th inning.
You know, even though that throw by Homan wasn't perfect, worst case scenario, Kane's just got to catch that ball and keep Hayes at first base.
The 0-1, Garcia off the end of the bat on the changeup, and Richie's in an 0-2 hole. No reason for Claunch to throw Garcia a strike here for a couple pitches. See if he can get Richie to chase. Jay Hayes at second with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th. Fastball. Oh, and Kiefer, the catcher, was 2 steps towards the dugout. And I don't blame him. That looked awfully good from here. And Claunch had taken a step off the mound also. So Garcia with maybe a reprieve. Can he take advantage of it? 1-2. just off the corner. And you could hear home plate umpire Victor Alejandro say, ball outside. It was close.
And it's not like the catcher and the pitcher, the last pitch, showed up the umpire that badly. But you knew they weren't getting another close one after that.
So now it's 2-2. Overhand curve, fouled. Garcia having trouble timing up the off-speed pitches. I think that, although I said it earlier in this game, don't know how many more of a certain pitch we're going to see, and they came right back, did Bittner and the Eagles with a slider. But if you're Claunch, you going to show Garcia another fastball in this at-bat? If so, I think you do it here. The 2-2. Off-speed pitch low. Count goes full at 3-2.
That was the exact 2-2 pitch. I'm sorry, 1-2 pitch that. No, the 2-2, the previous pitch that Garcia had fouled off. Was able to let up on that one. Yeah, I think you see a fastball right here.
You would challenge him?
Yeah.
2 outs, 3-2. And Garcia hits it to deep left field. Mathis back, looking up. It's gone. Claunch hung a curveball, and Richie Garcia made him pay. A 2-run shot. And the Eagles lead at 6-2.
That was the breathing room that FGCU needed. More 2-out rally. Back-to-back innings. Nope. I'm sorry, the 5th inning they had a little back-to-back rally. I told you, you should have thrown the fastball.
Well, and if you're North Alabama, you're thinking back because they thought they had Garcia struck out about 4 pitches earlier. So Hayes reaches on the 2-out error by the third baseman Homan, and Garcia hits a 2-run homer. High chopper over the mound, and that's a seeing eye single through the middle for Gonzalez.
And I think UNA, going back to what you had just said there, I think they have legitimate reason to think they had strike 3. That inside fastball has been called a strike all day.
Well, a lot of self-inflicted wounds, though, here for North Alabama today. They're getting out of the first inning with FGCU not scoring. Remember, 2 out, 2 on, ground ball to the second baseman. Elliott boots it. Here they got 2 out, nobody on. Homan with the errant throw keeps the inning alive. Gonzalez is going, throw down, and he steals second.
Gonzalez was dancing off of first base while Claunch was still in the stretch, and Claunch just wouldn't throw over there.
5th stolen base for Eric Gonzalez on the season. So 2 runs in for the Eagles. They lead at 6-2. Gonzalez is now at second for left fielder Keith Stevens. And Stevens took advantage of that 2-out error in the first with a 2 RBI single to center, and the Eagles have led ever since. Since then, he singled and scored in the 4th and struck out to end the 5th. So 2 for 3 for Keith Stevens on the day with 2 RBIs and a run scored. Claunch behind in the count 2-0. Misses 3-0. And this is tough for any pitcher but for Bryant Claunch because he thought he was out of this inning twice, and instead he gives up a 2-run homer. And after giving up the homer, Gonzalez slaps a seeing eye single through. He steals a base. He's behind 3-0 and make it a 4-pitch walk to Stevens. And Claunch is going to have to regroup here. And here's the DH Cole Gilmore, who's 0 for 2 with a walk. No one is warming up in the North Alabama bullpen. Just now, a righty is beginning to stretch, and he's going to get loose. So the rest of this inning appears to be in Bryant Claunch's hands. Fastball misses low and outside, ball one. So a 2-out error in the first inning leads to 2 runs. 2 out, nobody on in the 5th, and the Eagles score a run. 2 outs, nobody on here in the 7th, and they score 2 runs, all after a 2-out error.
Yeah, 2 pitches, 2 outs to start this inning. Coffers to Brate, both fly out to the outfield. And since then, all FGCU.
The 2-0, grounded up the middle, and Claunch fields it. He's going to take it mostly himself before flipping to Harris and the side, retired. So 2 runs on 2 hits, 1 error, and 2 men left. We've played 7 at Swanson, 6-2 FGCU. Top of the 8th we go here at Swanson Stadium. Seb Grusecki set to begin his 2nd inning of work. 6-2 FGCU, biggest lead of the game for the Eagles. FGCU has led throughout after scoring 2 runs in the bottom of the 1st inning.
And David, considering all the walks, the hit batters, all the base runners UNA has had, it's nice to have a little breathing room, 4-run lead. Still just 1 hit for Northern Alabama today.
And 3 hits last night in the 6-3 loss to the Eagles. 4, 5, 6 in the North Alabama lineup. Tate Mathis, Reed Holman, and Kevin Brenning against Grusecki, who's throwing strikes, and that one grounded right side. Gonzalez, plenty of range over to Jay Hayes, and that's a nice first out of the 8th.
Gonzalez made that one look pretty easy. Had to go quite a bit to his left, throw on the run across his body. Great play.
1 away. Grusecki coming in, doing a tremendous job. Think about it. FGCU in the 6-3 win last night gets 7 from their starter Studstill. Bittner, who was the 2nd pitcher today, as Grusecki misses, ball 1 to Reed Holman. Bittner threw 20 pitches yesterday, throws an inning and a third today, so you wonder about his availability for tomorrow. The 1-0, fastball inside, 2-0. But Hunter McGarry, the closer, threw 29 pitches yesterday. You know Toe doesn't want to use him today. So if Grusecki can finish this or take it to the 9th and maybe somebody else can finish it, the Eagles bullpen, at least the back end of it, might be where Toe wants it to try to go for the sweep tomorrow. 1 o'clock in what will be the last home game of the year, because the Eagles go on the road for a couple weeks after this. And a call strike to Holman, and he's not crazy about that. Instead of it being 3-1, it's now 2-2 to Reed Holman, who reached on an error back in the 2nd inning, lined out to right field in the 4th, and was hit by a pitch in the 6th. So he's reached base twice, but he's 0 for 1. The 2-2, fisted foul and out of play. And a 6-2 deficit for certain teams, even with 5 outs left, it feels manageable, or at least doable. But for North Alabama, as the curveball's grounded to Profit, it's short. Long throw in time to get home in by half a step. And you see why Profit's in the game as a defensive replacement. How about the middle infield play so far in this inning by Profit at short and Gonzalez at second?
Yeah, Profit showing off that strong arm of his.
That was in the hole. 2 away, and
Dave Tillette's coming out. What do you think this is about?
well, and I think that's what Grosecki is saying to Toe. He's like, hey, come on now. I'm on a roll. I've retired 5 in a row. What are you doing? Why are you out here? But FGCU with a lefty warming up in the bullpen. Grosecki did not pitch yesterday, and you could tell he is not happy about this.
No, and you had just talked about setting up the bullpen for tomorrow, and maybe this is what he's doing.
And I think that's what Toe's trying to explain to him, going, hey, listen, if I take you out with your pitch count now, you're available to me tomorrow, and I got you to set up McGarry.
And I got him at 19 pitches. And who knows how accurate I am. But
remember, Bittner threw 21 yesterday,
yeah.
came in, gave him an inning and a third today, and I think that's what Toe's trying to say to Grosecki. But Grosecki, who came in with an ERA of 6, has had some moments this year, obviously, where he struggled, so he's on a roll. He's looking at Toe going, Coach, what are you doing? Leave me in. But 2 outs, nobody on, and we've got a pitching change. And it looks like lefty Gus Carter.
Gus Carter. 4th pitcher of the day for FGCU.
19th appearance for Carter. He is 2-0 on the season, but he's got an 8.1 earned run average. He has given up a hit per inning. He's also struck out a batter per inning. Teams are hitting .254 against lefty Gus Carter, a sophomore out of Melbourne, Florida.
David, I got a Tortuga update for you.
Okay.
Pulled a hammy.
What?
Pulled a hammy today. Tagging up from third. Scored their first run of the game and had to exit.
Oh.
Well, when you look like a softballer, that's what happens. I've done that before.
See, I don't move fast enough to pull a hamstring. That is one of the good things about having such a svelte figure and low center of gravity.
Yeah, I think this is a good move by Coach Tillett to get Grosecki out of there. Use him tomorrow if he needs it. Because these ASUN games are really important right now to get the seeding.
No doubt. And only lefty in the lineup for a while is the right fielder, Kevin Brenning, who's 0 for 2, struck out in the second and the fourth innings against the lefty Justin Gill, was hit by a pitch back in the sixth inning by Nicholas Bittner. And Carter misses with a curveball to start off the at-bat to Brenning, 1-0. Brenning looking for his first hit in this series. Heck, the Lions have only had 4 hits so far in this series. Fastball right down the middle, strike 1. Twice the Lions had the bases loaded today. And did not score. The 1-1, 2-1. I'll check that. They had the bases loaded with nobody out in the third and only scored 1. Then they had the bases loaded, and what I think we'll look back on, Greg, is the key at bat of this game. The 2-1, swing and a miss, 2-2. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Nicholas Bittner against Harris Kane, and he struck him out on a 2-2 slider when it was a 4-2 ball game, and a single would have tied it. 2-2s, fouled back.
Yeah, that was big, obviously. Davis Elliott, that line out in the top of the fifth when they had runners in scoring position at third base, second and third. That was also really big.
Hit the shot right at Garcia. Last batter that Gill faced. Curveball off the end of the bat. Gonzalez on the backhand. The Jeter throw to first won't be in time, but a heck of a play by Eric Gonzalez.
That ball oddly hit very end of the bat. Just placed it perfectly.
And by Jeter throw, I mean that.
Oh, yeah.
Off the left foot, you go in the air, you throw it, get enough on it to get it to first. I mean, he's known for a lot of things, but he'll be remembered for that as well.
You think he's going to be remembered for running a franchise?
Well, we shall see. Ball in the dirt, gets away from Brait. It's a wild pitch as Brenning will go to second. Colt Cressman, the center fielder at the plate. He's 0 for 2 with a run scored. Walked and scored back in the fifth. 6-2 Eagles, 2 out, top of the eighth. Righty warming in the FGCU bullpen. My guess is this will be Carter's last batter of this inning. If he gets Cressman out, maybe Toe allows him to start the ninth. But with 5 righty hitters coming up after Cressman, my guess is this will be the last batter Carter faces in the eighth. Fastball misses 2-0.
Yeah, obviously with Carter coming in, Coach Tillett didn't plan on him being behind hitters, giving up an infield base hit. You just hope that this doesn't result in making another pitching change here.
The 2-0 to Cressman. Grounded, second base. Gonzalez fields it. Off balance throw in time. 3 infield outs for a couple of Eagles pitchers here in the eighth inning. No runs, a hit, 1 left. Bottom of the eighth. FGCU 6-2 over North Alabama. Bottom of the eighth inning here at Swanson Stadium. And with Neil Diamond blaring in the background, Austin Nichols is completing his warm-up pitches for the Lions of North Alabama. This is the 11th appearance for Nichols this season. He does not have a won or a loss record, but he does have a 7.82 earned run average. Austin Nichols, a 6'1 sophomore out of Athens, Alabama. Half the roster's from Alabama, Greg.
Yeah, I noticed that. It seemed like it was more than half.
About a quarter of the roster from Tennessee. 24 of their 33 players from Alabama and Tennessee. 5 to the neighboring state to the west, Mississippi. So basically those 3 the border states, although, interestingly enough, they don't have anybody from Georgia on the team. They do have one from Florida, backup catcher from Clearwater.
So, David, bottom of the 8th, 8-9-1, Kinker, Profit, Coffers, 4-run lead. Listen, I'm all for statistics and everything else, but 4-run lead, pretty comfortable. There's a local brewery down the road that's got our name on it for post-game.
Greg, I'm an Irish Catholic. You don't have to ask more than once, let me tell you. 6-2 Eagles. Kinker, who's 1 for 3 with an RBI double back in the 4th inning. It was a 3-2 game at the time. Excuse me, a 2-1 game at the time when Kinker hit one off the base of the wall in center field to drive in Keith Stevens and make it a 3-1 Eagles lead. I guess technically that would go down as the game-winning RBI, right?
It would, yeah. Oh,
Kinker looking for his 7th home run of the season there with that swing. 2-1. Kinker's had a good series. He's 3 for 7 with a homer and 4 RBIs. His 3-run homer in the 8th last night broke open a tie game and is the reason why the Eagles won 6-3. The 3-1. Ball 4, and Kinker will walk over to first, and don't be surprised if there's a pinch runner, because Kinker's playing right field today.
so would this be Townsend coming in?
Yep. Number 5, Jalen Townsend, will come in as a pinch runner and will likely go into right field for the 9th inning as well. Here's Christian Profit. This is his first at-bat of the game. He did not start. He came into the game in the 7th as a defensive replacement. The sophomore's hitting a .169 on the season with 8 RBIs. He's showing bunt. He lays off that one. Townsend's running, and the throw is on the third base side of the bag. And so Townsend, with the Eagles' 2nd stolen base of the day, is in scoring position.
So Nichols has come in, thrown 6 pitches, 5 of them balls. And FGCU with an early threat here right away.
I might take
8th.
till he throws a strike. And the 1-0, there you go. And Townsend was halfway between 2nd and 3rd, but there was no one on the bag at 2nd. Ben Kiefer really wanted to fire one down to 2nd to try to pick off Townsend, but there was no one to throw to. 1-1 for Austin Nichols. Profit swinging away, takes it down low. Good play by Kiefer. Top of the order, Coffers and Brait for the Eagles as they try to add some insurance. 6-2 FGCU. The 2-1, Profit gets a piece of Kiefer with the foul ball, and home plate umpire Alejandro is going to give Kiefer some time and walk it out to the mound. Say to Austin Nichols, "How you doing, young man? How's your day going?"
It's like he got it right on the mask.
Yeah.
So Profit's a local. Had a really good freshman year out of Cape Coral.
Terrific.
A-Sun Player of the Year, Newcomer of the Year.
And
just can't get it going this year.
No, got off to a rough start, first 3+ weeks of the season, and Dave Tillett gave him plenty of time, put Eric Gonzalez, a senior. Think about how difficult it had to be for Gonzalez.
Oh.
Lost his job and lost his playing opportunity last year to Profit. Townsend is running, and Kiefer had no chance. No chance. Townsend started running before Austin Nichols began his windup.
Austin Nichols looked back one time and never looked back again, and Townsend is quick and got that jump.
And it's now a 3-2 count for Christian Profit, and the infield will come in. This would be a nice spot for Profit to get some confidence at the plate. 3-2 is low, ball 4. First and third with nobody out. Top of the order for FGCU as the Eagles threaten to blow it open. There is a righty warming in the North Alabama bullpen, and
he called for him.
And head coach Mike Keene has said, well, I know it's unlikely, but I am not going to let this one get out of hand, at least not with Austin Nichols on the mound.
Well, let's talk about Profit for a moment. He's a defensive replacement, gets limited at-bats.
Now.
But
Right.
he's an injury away from having to play. You just never know, and you want to be able to build confidence in everybody on your roster. And obviously he proved last year that he could play at this level. And so an at-bat right there, that was a really close 3-2 pitch that he sort of hesitated, wasn't sure if it was going to be called ball 4. But it'd be nice to have him find his confidence again.
And so Eric Gonzalez, who starts the year backing up Profit, I mean, Richie Garcia's at second, Hayes is at third. I mean, there are no at-bats for Eric Gonzalez. And Profit coming off being the ASUN Freshman of the Year. And then Profit gets off to the rough start 3-4 weeks into the season. Toe just puts Gonzalez in saying, hey, bottom of the order's not giving me anything. I'll give you a couple starts, see what you can do. And Eric Gonzalez has said, I'll take it from there. And when the Eagles up the middle defensively, Greg, when Profit comes in as a defensive replacement, right behind the plate, Coffers in center, Gonzalez, the shortstop, moves over to second. Then you got Profit at short. I mean, and you could see with McGarry on the hill oftentimes in the 8th and or 9th innings, between the pitching and the defense that FGCU throws out there late, they get a lead after 7. They're tough.
Yeah, and Profit is a defensive replacement because of that strong arm of his. And it's not like Gonzalez struggles defensively. Obviously, they moved him over to second base in a lot of these situations.
Keegan Fogg is the new pitcher for North Alabama. He's a 6'4 junior out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which I believe is the home of Middle Tennessee State University.
David, I am not going to question your knowledge of mid-major local colleges.
I'm not good for much, but I can explain the salary cap, and I'm good for small to mid-sized colleges and their cities and all that. Fogg has struggled this year with an ERA of 8.65. This is 22nd appearance, all in relief. He's good for a strikeout an inning or darn close to it, but teams are hitting .294 against Keegan Fogg, who is the 4th pitcher of the day for the Lions. 6-2, FGCU, runners on the corners, nobody out. Lions will give up a run up the middle at double play depth as Mark Coffers takes the fastball low, ball 1. Coffers 1 for 4, singled and scored back in the first inning. After that, he's fouled out, struck out, and flied out to center. Coffers takes another one low, 2-0.
Fogg is probably the hardest thrower out of the 4 pitchers today, without question, more than the first 2. Looks like he throws a little bit harder than Nichols.
But he is not a hard thrower.
No.
At least not yet. The 2-0. Skied to fairly deep left center field. That should score Townsend easily as Cressman catches it and throws it back in. And it's 7-2 FGCU. Credit Coffers with the sac fly.
It's another insurance run, but like we have said before, David, UNA offensively isn't exactly a threat. They've been a threat because of the walks, the hit batters, all the guys that they've had on base. So as long as who's ever pitching for FGCU is throwing strikes. They should be fine.
Lions with just 2 hits on the day. Here's Alex Brait. He singled his first time up. After that, he's flied out to center, struck out, and flied out to left. Brait singled and scored as Coffers and Brait both led off the games with singles. They both came around and scored on a Keith Stevens single. I think that's the first run of the game the Eagles have scored when there haven't been 2 outs.
You are correct.
Profit with the leadoff first. All-speed pitch on the outside corner and a good one by Fogue. 0-2 to Alex Brait. Be interesting. Do they keep Brait in the game in the 9th inning? Do they put him out in left field, try to give him his legs a rest? Dave Toulette's done that in late innings of games in which he felt as if he had a comfortable lead. Brait strikes out for the second time today, 2 away. And here's first baseman Jay Hayes. He started out at third. He is 1 for 4. Struck out, grounded out, singled and scored in the 5th. Reached on an error with 2 outs last inning and came around and scored when Richie Garcia hit a 2-run homer. 7-2 Eagles here in the bottom of the 8th.
Well, Brait is putting on his pads, so I guess that answers that question.
Well, there you go. Profit has not stolen a base this year. He's only attempted 1. And I doubt he would try to run here and take the bat potentially out of Hayes' hands. And he's first pitch swinging and fouls it out of play. Eagles held the Lions to 3 hits last night in a 6-3 win and have held them to 2 hits through 8 innings today. Yet at the same time, they committed 6 errors last night. They've committed 2 today. You throw in the walks and the hit batsman as Hayes hits one pretty deep to right field. Brenning back on the edge of the track. He's under it, and he makes the catch, and the side is retired. But the Eagles, they score 1, and they take a 5-run lead to the 9th. 7-2 FGCU against North Alabama here at Swanson as the Eagles look to take the first 2 of this series. Top of the 9th here at Swanson Stadium. Eagles 3 outs away from taking the first 2 against North Alabama in this 3-game series. The finale is tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Gus Carter stays in the game for FGCU. They'll give a lefty a chance to finish this one out. Jalen Townsend, who came in for Kinker as a pinch runner and scored last inning, will replace Kinker in right field. It's 8-9-1 in the batting order for the Lions. And the DH, Drew Hudson, takes a fastball for a strike. Hudson walked and scored in the 3rd, walked in the 5th, walked in the 6th. Swings and misses and is behind Carter 0-2. Fastball just misses. 1-2. Hudson, Kane, and Elliott due up for North Alabama. And if you're the Lions and your head coach Mike Keene, Greg Anderson, you see this in hockey sometimes. In third period, team's got a commanding lead, and you slow curve. Hudson able to get a piece and stay alive. And if you're playing a weekend series or something like that, you just want, can we score a goal or even a couple? Even if we're going to lose, can we just feel a little bit better? Feel as if we got something going against these guys from when we play them later in the series. As Carter strikes out Hudson, one away here in the ninth. And if you're North Alabama, you've managed 5 hits so far in this series.
Yeah, you don't have a whole lot of confidence coming in tomorrow. And
No.
the opposite side of that, if Carter could close this one out, this is perfect for what FGCU has lined up for tomorrow. Their bullpen nice and fresh, not having to use McGarry today.
Bittner likely is unavailable. He's pitched in both the first 2 games. Has thrown about 20-plus pitches in both outings. So I don't know if we'll see Bittner tomorrow, but Krasecki, 5 up, 5 down here. Pitch count under 20. He's probably good for an inning or so tomorrow. McGarry's good for an inning or so. So Toe's thinking if I can get into the 7th, might be able to take it from there. The 2-0. Fastball at the knees to Harris Kane, 2-1. Kane was hit by a pitch in the 3rd. Had a sacrifice bunt in the 5th and struck out to end the 6th inning. Probably the key at bat for the game for North Alabama. Their last chance, as it turned out, it was 4-2. Kane came up with the bases loaded, 2 outs. He was facing Bittner, be the last batter for Bittner in the game. And Bittner struck him out on a 2-2 slider. 2-2 pitch, swing and a miss, back-to-back strikeouts for Carter.
Well, look at this.
2 away here in the 9th, and here's Davis Elliott.
And the last thing we could talk about the use of the bullpen today, Krasecki did not want to come out of the game.
No.
And I think now, especially if Carter could close this out within this batter, the next batter, he'll completely understand the move.
Well, and that's the type of managing that you do in an ASUN tournament also. And I'm sure Toe will explain that to him. When you're counting on playing 4 or 5 games over 4 days in which you're like, listen, your arm has only so many pitches. And sometimes I got to take you out even when you're cruising. And that could be it. Hayes fields it, race to the bag in time. And a 1-2-3 ninth for Gus Carter and FGCU. And the Eagles improved to 29-14 on the season and a robust 11-3 in ASUN play. And how about the pitching for FGCU in this series, Greg Anderson? 5 hits and 5 runs allowed so far through 2 games.
Yeah, and I think everybody involved with FGCU will agree that these have not been their best 2 games of the year. They haven't been too clean, especially last night's. But today was a nice step in the right direction, and hopefully tomorrow they put it together. They're about to go on the road here. They're going to have to play a lot better baseball to keep this up in the ASUN.
Keith Stevens with 2 hits, 2 RBIs, and a run scored. Gave FGCU the lead for good in the bottom of the 1st inning with a 2 RBI single. Richie Garcia, the 2-run homer in the 7th inning to break open a close game, give FGCU a 6-2 lead on their way to the 7-2 win. FGCU, as we mentioned, improving to 11-3 in conference play, which for the moment ties them with Liberty for first in the ASUN. The Lions fall to 5-11 in conference play and 11-31 overall. If you're a fan of FGCU baseball, you only have 4 opportunities to see them at Swanson Stadium, and one of them is tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. After that, the Eagles are not home until Thursday, May 16th, so nearly 3 weeks from now. So get on out to Swanson Stadium tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Otherwise, it's a season-ending series in mid-May against Liberty. For Greg Anderson, I'm David Moulton. The final once again, FGCU, a winner 7-2. Thanks so much for watching and listening.